At least that's what it feels like right now. I'm so tired.
Uh, Hello, and welcome to the Yaoi Shelf.
Hello.
Uh, Grab a seat and relax. Welcome to October, and therefore
I
it is scary season.
am so ready. Today is such a great day to be recording this episode. I am looking out the very, very, very sparse view I have from my window, and all I can see is like fog. It's a very good day for for the Halloween episode.
It is a good day for the Halloween episode. I say that living in Texas, where right now I'm going to give you a live weather check. Are you ready for this? Uh, Coming to you live with a weather report. It is 28 degrees outside.
Wow. God, I
That,
wish it was me.
that's in Celsius. It's 82 Fahrenheit for
I
yes.
am so cold. It's 8 degrees here today. And it's wet. I think it stopped raining, but like I said, there's fog now instead. So it's like living in Silent Hill.
Speaking of Silent Hill,
Hmm.
I am so excited to talk about this.
Yes.
Um, Longtime listeners might know that I have a huge issue watching anything that wasn't made after like 2010.
Yeah, this is a big deal. We're doing something new. We're doing something current.
I binged an anime in like 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
I have
And
not done that.
she live reacted to it in our personal chat. It went about as well as it usually does when Amanda suddenly makes, well, something her entire personality. I was enjoying it greatly. I love waking up and like seeing Amanda screaming, "Just have sex already," in all caps in my inbox or like in my chat window. It was beautiful. You're just like on my what is it called? The screen.
Yes.
The lock screen. You're on my lock screen just screaming in caps first thing in the morning. I'm like, what is going on?
I love that. We're talking about the Summer Hikaru Died.
Yes.
And by proxy, we're going to end up talking about the Bury Your Gays trope because we're contractually obligated. We don't have a choice.
There is an overlap. This will
I
also be coming back at some point.
Yeah, I checked the contract. It's in our contract. We have to talk about the Bury Your Gays trope.
Yep.
It's out of my hands. But I'm so excited to talk about the Summer Hikaru Died. Like, I'll say this. I am not easy to reach as far as like feelings. I either really like something or I really don't. There's like no, it was okay. It was I hate this and I can talk about it for 5 hours. Or I love this and I can talk about it for 5 hours.
Yeah. I will argue there is an in between, and that is the in between of I will not touch this, therefore it doesn't exist. It's dead to me. Which is you with most new things, I feel.
See, the thing is that I usually do eventually end up watching or reading it.
Mm.
Because to hate it, I really like having like an opinion. So like yeah, like my 5 hours of hate for My Hero Academia is rooted in having watched a shocking amount of My Hero Academia.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, there are a lot of things that you're just like,
it's a blind spot. But
you have a lot, yeah.
I watched an anime like I did when I was in high school. Sat in my computer area so I could focus on the subtitles.
Mm.
I'm old now. My back hurt. I was watching in like 4 episode chunks.
Mm.
and then I would get up and like, just,
You want to switch? Remember, I was living on the bathroom floor a few weeks ago. That
I
was
do
fun.
remember that.
My back will never forgive me.
I do remember that.
It
So
was
I'm so
horrible.
excited to talk about this horror series. Um, I I had so much fun,
Yeah.
but I also have so much to say.
Yeah, I have like yeah. We
Oh,
did like we have an outline and we did have a discussion in our private chat about like things that we have to cover. And
mhm.
once again the topic was breached that will this be our longest episode ever? We have a lot to say, but I think we'll try to rein it in. There is a live. We we can expand.
This is the
There
earliest you've mentioned there's a live, like you're planning on us being here for a union work day.
I just okay, but in my defense, I because I was watching, I started watching the series when it started airing, and then as I
Mhm,
said, there was 1 week where they had the week off. There was no episode,
mhm,
completely fucked me over, and I had to binge watch the rest because I fell off for like 6 weeks. So
mhm,
I finished it up, and then I realized that okay, I need to reread the manga.
mhm.
And so, of course, I've been really busy all week and I have 2 kittens. So I literally read all of the manga today. So I literally came out of this bubble where I just read all the 5 volumes that are out in one sitting. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings. So yeah, I am very prepared to be talking about this all month because there is a lot of stuff to say.
I think this is where we have to say anime and manga spoilers.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think knowing hinders your view.
No, I agree.
I think even if this is like your first time interacting with the Summer Hikaru Died, and you're like, oh wow, these two nerds talked about it for 3 hours. Now I really want to watch it, but they told me everything. I promise you we didn't.
No, and the thing is, so the anime just wrapped up with 12 episodes, but they're already doing a season two. They've announced a
Correct.
season two. The manga is still ongoing, and
Correct.
so at the end of, I believe it's like the fourth volume, I think it
Mm-hmm.
is. It says that the first 4 volumes are kind of like the introductory arc, and then from the
Mm-hmm.
fourth volume onwards, yeah, so it's the first three, and then from volume 4 onwards,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the investigation arc. So
Mm-hmm.
even after the 5 volumes that have so far been published by Seven Seas in English,
Mm-hmm.
we don't really know anything. Like we know some things,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of stuff we don't know, and that is just assumption on our behalf and also like from the characters in the series. So I
Correct.
think it's more of a like it's kind of like a murder mystery, except it's I don't know if there's like I mean there are murders, let's be
I
fair.
was about to say, what do you mean kind of?
I don't know. Like it's slightly different, but it's like there's a lot, and I think there are so many ways to come at this series, like so many
Yes.
angles to look at the series from.
Yes.
So we're
Absolutely.
definitely not going to be covering all of our thoughts. Like we will see which
No.
direction this ends up taking, and then please, just join the conversation in the live or whatever if there's something we didn't cover, because I'm gonna forget about a lot of stuff.
I'm gonna go on the one tangent that I want to, and you're gonna forget all the important, intelligent things
Yeah,
you wanted
right.
to say.
I
I'm gonna
am
go on
so
the one tangent that I am determined to have.
I know the one.
I know you do.
I do, yeah.
I know
Um,
you do. I'm gonna go on the one tangent that I've been hyping myself up for in the mirror.
oh my god, you're just like you've been rehearsing it
I
by
have.
yourself while
It's,
you
it's, it's
while you were in
cool.
the throes of insomnia. You were just like rehearsing.
Yeah, when I was up at 3 a.m. playing Uma Musume, I would occasionally go in to the bathroom and psych myself up in the mirror like fucking 8 Mile
Yeah,
so I can
yeah.
talk about this one thing with no shame.
But I had like before we start, there's a question, or like I don't know if it's a question because you were the one who introduced me to the
Mhm.
Summer Hikaru Died. Like
Correct.
I think it was. I can't even remember when it was, but it was before the first volume was released. Actually,
Correct.
quite a while before it was released. You
Yes.
were the one who mentioned it to me
Ye.
first. But what actually am I trying to get at here? And no, but like because you made it seem like because I thought you were actively reading it at the time. Were
No.
you? No.
No. So I remember exactly how this went. It's when the series started getting a lot of buzz.
Mm.
And I remember retweeting it from the Yaoi Shelf account and being
Mm-hmm.
like, Carola and I are going to like enjoy this. Like this is something that feels very
Mm.
built for us. So I think that's why I was hyping it up because I saw it like in that
Ah.
early buzz stage and I was like, oh, we're gonna eat this up. And I was
Spoiler, we
right.
did.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was right.
But it's just
Like,
because because you were so like you because you kept mentioning it, like it kept coming
yeah.
up, and then I was like, oh, Amanda's actively reading like scans of
No.
this or something already, and then I picked it up, and then you started like when you binged the anime,
Yes.
and I was all wait, but haven't you read this?
So I had read, I think, like the first, because I have the first two manga volumes.
Hmm.
I had started reading the first manga volume before the anime started. And then I fell off, of course, because life gestures.
Yeah,
Life. Oh,
life is life is terrible.
and
Leave
then
me alone and let me read my manga. You know.
and then as we were doing our planning, you guys get a peek behind the curtain. When we were doing our planning for this quarter, it was like, we already did villain fuckery, we already did an intro into horror, but there's this new hit show that came out that feels like in a lot of ways it was tailor made for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a lot of ways, it feels like it was genetically engineered for Corolla and I to sink our dirty Fujo claws into it.
Hmm.
Let's do that. So then I did the anime rewatch because I also wanted to wait until it was done
Mm.
because I knew I'd have an easier time binging it. And then I did the
Yeah.
ADHD thing of I'm going to binge it before I record because otherwise I'm going to watch it, forget everything, and then I'm going to get to this
Yeah.
episode like, it's a book?
Right. And also like this isn't it's not a simple story. It
No.
has a lot of like yeah. There's a lot going on and yeah, I absolutely agree that binging is the way to go because
Yes.
whether you're reading the manga or you're watching the anime, just like binging gives you a more you're it's easier to follow what's happening, and even then it's like because the characters don't know what's happening. This isn't like your slice of life daily school life manga, like there's there's folklore and
There's a
horror and strange myths and dialect.
there's the existential breakdown that I had realizing that uh, the way that Yoshiki and Hikaru sound is how I inevitably sound to people who don't live in Texas.
What the
Because, like, I don't have a super strong Southern accent. I was very well trained to not sound like that.
mm.
But the minute I leave the country, it's like, y'all told me I done gone up the street that way. I got red arsed over here. What the hell?
I mean, to be fair, I also speak in a dialect that is very often used for comedic relief and jokes,
Yes.
and which is hilarious. Actually, it isn't, but Norway is a country that I've said this before. We are very after a certain point in time. We decided that we were going to be very proud of our dialects, and so they decided to not be all, oh, you you only, if you're going to be on TV or on the radio, you have to speak in the standard dialect or else we won't
Mhm.
let you on. They were like, no, we're going to be proud about this. So everyone gets to use their dialect for whatever they're doing. And then for some reason, some of us are still the butt of the joke. So yeah, I feel that actually. With that said, this dialect in particular that is in this anime is a variation of the Kansai dialect. I actually ended up yesterday reading a paper on the kakugen conjugation that they use in this
Yeah.
specific dialect in the manga,
Yes.
which didn't actually lead anywhere. Like, I felt like when the paper actually got going, it ended. So I feel like I didn't really learn anything. But like, this is where we are.
I love the insufferable nerd that you are.
Sometimes it's just like everyone else that I know is at a con this weekend. And I was sitting here on a Saturday night reading papers on the Bury Your Gays Trope and some obscure version of the Kansai dialect used in a manga while eating potato chips. So,
So, I think it's time to finally talk about the work.
yes.
Carola, what the fuck is up with the Summer Hikaru Died?
That's what we're here to find out, I guess. I mean, okay, the basics first, right? So it's a manga
Yes.
by, wait, let me look, by
Mokumokuren?
Mokumokuren, yeah. Because I always want to call them Momokuren, but yeah, Mokumokuren. And it, first things first, it's not a BL. We know. We are aware.
Pin
However,
in that. Nope. I'm putting
Yeah,
the
let's put a
biggest
pin.
pin in that.
I want to wait. Let me just look it up real quick because I want to see what it's actually classified as.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here gathering pins because I have a
Yeah.
lot to say about that.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of pins here.
There's gonna be so many fucking pins. I hope you guys
Okay.
are ready.
Oh,
Oh,
no, I'm looking at the Baka page, and it has the cover art for Volume 7, which is our sunglasses man looking very hot. Just as an aside,
it's a literal dirty hobo. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love this man.
We're way too far.
Okay. Winding it back. Okay, so the genre formally is a fantasy horror seinen.
Sure.
Yeah, and which it has elements of mystery. It has tragedy, but it
Yes.
is a horror manga and it's a seinen. That's like the main.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's how it's classified.
Sure.
Supposedly,
Okay.
It's published in English by Seven Seas.
Yep.
No, it isn't. It's Yen Press. I lied. It's not Seven Seas.
Oh, it is Yen Press.
I
Also,
keep
this
thinking
is
it's because of the format. Because this is I'm so used to Seven Seas books looking like this.
also this is a teen manga.
Excuse me. Let me look at a later volume. Yeah. Yes. Wait. So volume. Okay, so on volume 1 it says teen and then it has an L under it. Volume 5 says teen and then LV. I guess that means
language violence.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought it was going to be like light violence.
Las Vegas.
Interesting.
This is okay. Sorry. Captain of the SS Gaslight here. We're gonna have to turn around. This is not a teen series. What?
I mean, I've seen worse.
I mean,
However,
yeah, but we're not good people.
No.
This would okay, and especially with how delicate children are nowadays. This is a teen series. I mean, I love that, but also, geez, there's a lot of murder going on.
Yeah, and body horror and just general Weirdness.
Anyways, hello, Captain of the SS Gaslight here to return us to our regular position.
Yes, we are talking about what is up with the Summer Hikaru Died.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's manga turned into hit anime.
Mm.
And when I say hit anime, I really want to emphasize hit.
Yeah.
This did very well.
Did I send you the link? I got a newsletter the other day from some merch site I follow, and there's the Summer Hikaru Died jewelry being released.
No, because I would have already bought it.
Okay, yeah, no, so I did not send you that link. I was going to, but yeah, it's a hit.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a hit.
we've got jewelry, which, by the way, does not fight against the gay allegations. I'll say that, but
Pin.
we'll get there.
Yeah,
Pin.
that pin is in place. I'm gonna need like an actual pin board back here.
Yeah,
It's like pin.
yeah, you should have had that for this one. I think there's
Okay.
gonna be.
This was a hit, and I think it was a hit in a lot of ways. One, body horror is fascinating. It's something that particularly there's a very, very interesting love of it in the West with a very, very niche group of women and AFABs who have some feelings about their bodies and autonomy.
Yeah. And I feel like 2025 is definitely the year of the body horror because we had both The Substance
Yes.
and that Norwegian film, The Ugly Stepsister. I've seen
Yes.
neither because, as you may understand, I struggle with live action body horror for other reasons. It's hard for me to watch those things, but I feel like, you know, the anime in particular came out, you know, at a time when there is a lot of this stuff happening in popular culture, and people are kind of like, people are already into it, so they'll grab on to whatever is offered to them.
Absolutely. And I mean, we could credit the start of this with shows like Parasite and stuff. But we're not going to talk about body horror today because we'd be here literally all day. Let's talk about body horror in the live.
Okay.
Because, yeah, there's a lot of subtext that goes into why certain people feel the way that they do about body horror. And yeah, like there is that really, really interesting assigned female at birth / women fandom aspect of it, of women who very much feel out of control when it comes to their bodies, really enjoy body horror series.
Yeah.
When your own body feels monstrous, something like the Summer Hikaru Died doesn't feel so far-fetched.
And I think you can also tie this into, we will, like, again, lots of pins here, but as we will also go into the whole Bury Your Gays trope, one of the like core premises of that trope is the whole the queer adolescent identity being, you know, this fleeting thing that cannot exist outside of that, like outside of that framework.
Yes.
And teenagehood, adolescence is also, you know, a form of body horror in the sense that you don't know yourself, you don't know what's happening. And in the same way, you know, like puberty, sexual awakening, and queer awakenings all also tie into kind of like that same feeling. And the Summer Hikaru Died absolutely also taps into all of those things.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
We're going to be here all day. I love it.
Yeah. Should we like give a summary, like a brief summary, if you like before we?
What? Oh. Okay. Do you think you can you do it? Because
I can try. So, I mean, the basic premise, right, is that we have these two teenage boys, Hikaru and Yoshiki, who live in this extremely remote village. Like, they are literally the two only teenagers in their village. So their school they go to school with other teenagers, but they don't live in the same kind of like settlement that they do. They are literally the two
Mhm.
only teenagers. They've been together all their lives. Um, the manga opens up with the two of them eating ice cream, and we find out, like, I did not expect this to be so sudden, by the way. I thought it was going to be like a creeping thing and not like the opening scene. They're sitting on a bench, and Yoshiki turns to his friend Hikaru, and he's basically like, "You're not Hikaru, are you?"
Yeah.
Because Hikaru disappeared in the mountains
Mhm.
around 6 months earlier. He was gone for a while, and
Mhm.
then he came back. And Yoshiki is like, "There's something weird about him.
Mhm.
He's not. This is not my friend." And then when he asks, Yoshiki, Yoshiki's kind of like, he's like, "You're not Hikaru, are you?" And then Hikaru kind of just turns into this blob of like swirling patterns, because he is in fact no longer Hikaru. He is something else, but we don't know what it is. And it starts this whole thing where it's kind of like neither of them knows what he is, and they are
Mhm.
trying to kind of still have this relationship or this friendship
Mhm.
while figuring out what actually did happen. What's the deal with their creepy ass village?
Mhm.
And they both know that Hikaru isn't Hikaru, but they're both, you know, almost trying to pretend like he is, while also coming to terms with he's something else and trying to build on that instead.
Correct. I
Yeah.
think that's a really, really good summary of it. I think the only thing that I'd add is very, very much weird small country village vibes. Like
Yeah.
nothing about this village feels right.
No, like if
Uh,
you've seen, I keep thinking, like, when we were talking about it earlier, I mentioned that it's like Shiki, for those who have seen Shiki, which is the
mhm.
also like village in the middle of nowhere where everyone
Mhm.
is like taken over by vampires. But
Yes.
also this is like something that may be a little bit more well known, which I've been thinking this whole week. This is like Higurashi for the gays. It's like very much like the whole thing is just like strangely unnerving, and like the cicadas in the background, like, which are literally in the foreground, because like even in the pages
Yes.
of the manga, it's just like so much text that are just like these sounds. Like you can hear the cicadas
Yes.
through the pages. It's very unnerving. The whole village, like there's something wrong with this village.
I've also never heard cicada with a soft A.
Cicada? Listen,
Why did you weebify cicada?
this is because we don't have them here. I think I
Why
never
did
get cicada.
cicada? Why did you
I
turn them into like a soft anime child? What
Okay. Do you know I do this with a lot of words, where it's like the like. Okay, have I told you about how I used to pronounce meme as meme because I literally thought it was a Japanese word, because there's so much else on the internet that is, that originated in Japan, and then people are just like mispronouncing it, and I just assumed that it was a Japanese phenomenon, so I kept calling it meme until someone corrected me. So I do that a lot.
It's so cute.
I'm fluent in English, I promise.
Like what weird, again, southerner living in the US. Cicadas are everywhere and they're evil.
We don't have them. I've seen a grasshopper once. Like
But I was like, what the fuck is a cicada? I've never heard it so soft before because usually when we talk about them, we're screaming back at them.
uh
Um, but yeah, it's just a weird, unnerving town.
yeah, and there's that whole thing about
Mm-hmm.
like there are multiple towns in this like surrounding. Someone is tearing the house down.
Okay.
Um, there are multiple towns nearby, and they all are named after body parts. It's all
Yeah.
very,
It's
yeah.
all very weird, and I we're gonna get back to that because this is where like me being a nerd makes it really, really hard to suspend my belief for a lot of parts of the Summer Hikaru Died. So we're gonna. There's another pen. There's pen two. Um. So yeah, Yoshiki pretty much knows immediately that the Hikaru he sees in front of him is not actually Hikaru.
Mm.
There's also a really, really cool linguistic trick that you see both in the manga and the anime,
Yeah.
where the second Hikaru is referred to as differently and delineated than the original Hikaru, which I think is super interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we find out pretty much immediately, which also was a bit of a shock to me. But I feel like you kind of have to address it
Mm.
because, especially early on, that uncanniness is very obvious.
Mm.
Like, slightly jump ahead for later in the series, the second Hikaru does get a lot better at assimilating into being human. But, like, that first couple of appearances, like, oh, you're not right.
And he's like always kind of like teetering on that brink. Again, it's very hard
Yeah.
to talk about this because even as I was making, the notes that I didn't get to finish, it's kind of like as you're reading, because I mean this is how plots work, right? As you're reading, you find out
Oh,
more and things are revealed to you, right? So
correct.
so there are all of these like Hikaru, and when we use they use the quotation marks Hikaru, the fake Hikaru. He gets better, as you say, but he also, as the story progresses, he also loses control sometimes. But they're like constantly like teetering on that like the brink of control, and also trying. Like, I think that that's also very interesting about Yoshiki once he realizes, because he's sad about his best friend being gone, but he's also like clinging to this entity who has Hikaru's body. And then he's like, I have to teach him. So he's like trying to teach him to be human or emulate humanity.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about Yoshiki that might surprise people. I have some thoughts.
I also have a lot of thoughts.
I
There
have a
are a
lot of
lot of
thoughts.
thoughts. We should have, like, this should have been its own season, because like we could have done one of those specials and just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So, okay. We talked about what's up with the series. We did talk about what was up with Hikaru.
Mm.
Especially the second Hikaru that we see. First Hikaru goes up into the mountains for mysterious reasons. Spooky, weird village reasons.
Yeah.
And he sees a tree that looks like a woman with nice tits. And falls to his death.
I mean, yes. Basically, that's what happens. And I'm so glad I did the reread because I forgot about the tree.
I did it.
And I love how self-aware he is in the moment, because he's like, wow, look at that tree, it looks like a naked woman, which is, side note, it does. Which also makes me wonder, did the fucking cursed mountain do this on purpose? Because again, cursed, everything is cursed. But like, and then he falls off like a cliffside and he's like, is this how I die? This
Yeah, he
is
says
so
how
lame.
Yeah, he says how lame, and it's like, yes, it is lame.
And
You
then
should know better.
And then, of course, he doesn't die instantly. He kind of lays there for a while, and then
Yeah,
something happens to him.
yeah. A strange and mysterious entity takes over him, and he's gone for a little while, and then he comes back, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Hikaru, you were in the woods, and now you're back! Yay!"
Yeah, and he doesn't remember anything. At
Nope.
least that's what he says. And so the Hikaru that returns, he does have, like, he has the memories. I also think, like, there are so many things, again, like, there are so many things you could choose to focus on and analyze, but, like,
Yes.
he has Hikaru's body, he has his memories, but he's also slightly different in the sense that he has slightly different preferences. Like the old
Mhm.
Hikaru preferred watermelon, and this one prefers ice cream. But then there are
Yeah.
things like he has his memories, but not all of them. So, for instance, conveniently, he does not remember what the hell this weird ritual in the mountain actually is. But he does, like he does remember stuff like, oh, I've seen this movie 5 times, but this is still my first time seeing it, so I'm gonna cry like a baby while watching it. It's very like the
This
he
this could have been
yeah.
an entire season. We have so much to say.
Like each
It's been
episode should have
35
been.
minutes.
Oh my god, we're gonna
It's
be here
been, we're
forever.
gonna be
I
here
don't.
all.
I
We
haven't even.
barely we have barely penetrated this outline. We're gonna be here all day.
I
I'm
knew this
glad
was
I
gonna.
refilled my water.
Oh my god, this is gonna be one of those where we'll have to like take a break and then come back
We're
and
gonna have to like take a break for lunch. Oh my god.
I already had
Okay.
dinner. Okay, no, it's
Okay.
fine. We'll be fine.
So
It's fine.
so that's what's up with Hikaru. People around him either are very decent at seeing something is wrong
Mm.
or entirely oblivious, which I think is interesting. I was actually talking to someone about this, and it's like, oh, how fast do you think it would take you to recognize? And it's like, honestly,
Mm.
I don't know. I think I'm a smart person. But also, if I opened my door and my dad was just standing outside, I'd be like, come in, would you like a drink?
I feel like that one, not to be insensitive, but I feel like that should have been like a major
I mean,
hint.
yes, but
I
like,
mean, he's been dead for a while.
yes, but like, I mean, like emotionally.
Yeah, no, of course, of
No,
course.
physically, absolutely not. Like, that's
No,
a
but
trap.
but I also think like that is also interesting because that's one of the things that they do, on multiple, at least 2 occasions. The
Mhm.
classmates are having this discussion, like because they're talking about this, like this story that they've read, which basically has that premise, and then also
Yeah.
they're talking about in folklore terms, and they're like discussing whether or not they would find out and how easy would it be to spot, and it's kind of like you don't know. And there's also in the human perspective of maybe you don't want to know.
Well,
Like
and I
I've
loved that
seen
scene.
yeah,
I loved that scene. No, go ahead.
I've seen a lot of horror movies,
Mhm.
and so I do feel like there's a part of me that's like, you know what, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to go there.
Mhm.
I've seen these
Yeah.
films.
That scene is so interesting because the question posed is the ship of Theseus question.
Mm,
This is where I get to flex that I had enough credits to be a philosophy minor.
could never be me. I hate philosophy.
I love philosophy.
Oh god.
So the ship of Theseus is basically uh this village has a ship. It's said to be the ship of Theseus, who is a great hero. But as the ship starts to wear and tear and time passes, they have to add and change new pieces. The question is, at what point does it stop being the ship of Theseus?
Mm,
Is it when the first change happens? The
mm,
minute you replace a wooden board, is it no longer the ship of Theseus? If that's the case, I'm sure they made repairs while the ship was still sailing. At what point does it stop being Theseus's ship?
mm.
And that's the argument that they're making is, cells turn over every few years. None of
Yes.
us are the same people that we were years ago. I'm certainly not, like on a molecular level.
Yeah.
Personally, sidebar, if it had stayed in like deep philosophy and folklore land, probably would have been in a 10 out of 10 series for me. Because that's the kind of stuff I love. And it's like, oh yeah, like that's a ship of Theseus question. And everyone has a different answer because some
Mm,
people, yeah, are like, oh, the minute you change something, the first nail that you add that wasn't original, different
mm.
ship. You ruined it. You killed it. Other people are like, well, I mean, it's been the ship of Theseus for hundreds of years. Why would it be any different?
Yeah.
Um, We talked about body horror, which again is something that we could talk about all day long. We did our little plot summary. Would you like to talk about would you like should we go into some scenes that affected us and left us with so many questions?
Yeah, we probably should, and as we do, because I mean now I'm basically doing an introduction anyway, but like as we do, I think it will become pretty clear to those who are completely new to this.
Yes.
Why are we covering this series on a BL podcast when we opened up by saying it's not a BL?
Actually,
Because oh wow.
I'm gonna flip it and reverse it.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about this not being BL first.
Okay.
Because I think it'll add context to why we feel so strongly about the scenes we selected. Yeah. So let's briefly touch on, we have to say that this legally is not a BL or a yaoi. It has often been billed as a BL or a yaoi for reasons that will make a lot of sense in a few minutes.
Yeah. Again, I want to once again put my gripes out there that people Please. Do not know what BL is.
Okay.
And again, I cannot believe whatever that Google search was that I talked about last month. What the hell even was that?
I don't know, Carola. That was a
Whether Angels in America was a BL.
Oh, is a BL.
Yeah, because this is where we are now. People are very quick, especially if it's from Japan, to decide. And we also talked about this last month with Dr. Kirsten.
We did.
That, people are very quick to label something as BL the moment it is Japanese and contains any form of queerness. Male queerness. And that's not the case. In the case of the Summer Hikaru Died, an argument can be made again, like it is not a BL. It is not. No. It doesn't. It isn't labeled as BL by the publisher, by the mangaka. It isn't. It doesn't follow typical BL conventions. Although, pin.
I was about to say, fucking where?
No, exactly. But it is not. There is a certain queerness to it, and I think like that is also one of those things that I've seen a lot of people. That is like one of the reasons why a lot of people have latched onto it, because like there's the horror aspect. Like if you like horror, especially if you like like Japanese horror, because Japanese horror largely is centered on folklore and these things, like the fucking wig monster, by the way, in episode 5, which triggered all of my J-horror trauma through the ages. By the way, like if you like horror, you're gonna like this. Like if you like Junji Ito, you're gonna like this. But also if you like queer stuff, you're gonna like this, because there's so much symbolism and so much, like you talked about subtext. Like it's barely even subtext, but it's
just
like
text.
Yeah, and I will argue there is an explicit queerness, particularly to Yoshiki's character.
It's so frustrating because it is so, in so many ways, so overtly queer. That it was almost distracting in places. Like, how many times did I send you Just Kiss?
Yeah, a lot.
But also what's interesting is that it feels like in trying to run away from that, so much. It almost made me feel like I was being gaslit. Like for once I wasn't the captain of the SS Gaslight, because I was looking at it and being like, oh, this is gay as hell. And it's like, well, no, it's not a BL. Like, I'm not supposed to see queerness in this. And I was like, oh, it's that dumb Fujo brain. It's those Fujo goggles again. You see two living creatures.
Yeah. Honestly, the bar, like,
yeah, you see two. This isn't even a human entity. You see two human-shaped blobs.
Listen,
like, sure.
Do you remember the vegetable yaoi? Like, I will ship anything if it has chemistry. I'm
like, oh, this is just my dumb Fujo brain. I've been tainted. I'm a rotten woman. But all I can see is queerness as far as the eye can go. But it's like, but no, it's actually really,
no, but
really
it is.
queer.
But I also want to, like, again, I know I have said this so many times. All BL is queer, but not all gay content is BL, right? So yes. I don't necessarily think that the author. I mean, I have read nothing like from the author. I've only read, whatever notes are in the manga, like within the pages of the manga, and I know very little about the Summer Hikaru Died outside of the piece of media itself. I read no interviews. I know very little, and so I don't know where the author stands on the queer subject matter in that sense, but I find it hard to believe that they aren't engaging with the queer subject matter knowingly as they are writing this. There's also the inescapable connection between horror and queerness in horror media. Always.
I have a conspiracy theory that we're going to talk about off camera because it's too much. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll bring it up during the live or Patreon. It's too much of a deep cut for on camera, but I have a conspiracy theory.
I'm excited.
But I think engaging with that, like, yes, there can be queer media and it not be BL. And by no means do I actually think this is a BL? Of course not. Like, I'm not that level of Fujo rotten. But, like, it was so overtly queer in places.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that, because as an add-on to that, there are also absolutely some scenes and some phrases that can be said to directly parallel BL specific scenes that are present in a lot of BL. Like, a lot of queer media in general, but also, within BL series and as BL tropes. So I can see where, like, there is if you know BL, you will see these parallels very clearly.
And even if you just know, like, gay culture and gay literature. Yeah. So, like, you mentioned the cicadas. Like, that's another huge
symbol. You mean the cicadas?
That's the gay version, the cicada, where it's a hip posh club where they play Rush by Troye Sivan and you can do poppers all night. But, like, that's such a symbol of, like, coming out. We had National Coming Out Day not too long ago of, like, finally breaking out of your shell. Cicadas go through this whole thing where they have a very, very long underground adolescence. Where we have, like, I think it's like 13, 17 and longer year cicadas where they burrow into the earth and they ruminate for decades plus at a time. And then they burst out and they find a place to grow their new self and discard the shell. If there's a fucking coming out metaphor in that, like, what the hell? So it's interesting because, like, those signals will be flashing and I remember having moments where it's like, it was almost distracting, where it's like, yeah, as I messaged to Carola, well, it was like, just kiss.
Yeah, but I mean, that said, like, literally, like, within the first couple of pages, the following exchange happens, right? So Yoshiki asks Hikaru if he's, the real one or not. And, he isn't. Okay. And then he very quickly follows that up with saying that even if you are like, I want you to be by my side, even if you are fake.
Mm-hmm.
There's a brief like because they keep flashing back. This can be confusing sometimes. Maybe I'm just
Mm-hmm.
stupid, but like sometimes I struggled with realizing that, oh wait, this is a flashback. This isn't actually happening right now, because sometimes there is no clear distinction between the present and the past when they do this. And so you'll be presented with a scene, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is in the past. But so even in the past, right, there's like a brief flashback in the earliest, like the first chapter or whatever, where
Mm-hmm.
uh Hikaru, the real Hikaru, is teasing Yoshiki about girls.
Mm-hmm.
And Yoshiki is very like, he's very much like, oh, he doesn't like anyone, he's not going to get a girlfriend. It's very, and could be uh, read as, oh, he's just an awkward teenage boy and he doesn't want to be teased about
Right.
it, but he seems bothered by the idea of having a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately followed up by, um, whatever you are, having you by my side is better than not having you at all. And then Yoshiki asks Hikaru, and do you like me? And Hikaru, fake Hikaru, replies, I do. I'm crazy for you. This is the first chapter. It's very hard to not go into this without having, at least having that thought at the back of your mind that there's
Yeah.
something like one of these, if not both of these characters slash
Right.
entities are queer.
Yeah. It's barely bubbling under the surface. You get a lot of that classic Fujo thing where it's like, this sure is a lot of emotion for a friend.
Yeah.
This
And then
is this is a lot of emotion for like a kid you went to school with.
and also like just whatever the hell Hikaru the entity really is, because that's a thing that keeps coming up. They're both reflecting on it, like
Mm-hmm.
Hikaru the entity
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know what he is, and he doesn't understand, or it doesn't understand feelings. It
Mm-hmm.
ruminates on these feelings a lot, like, is this a feeling? Do I
Mm-hmm.
understand this? Like, it doesn't. All it knows, or he knows, is that he wants to be by Yoshiki's side, and he is
Mm-hmm.
attached to him. And the words that he chooses to express this with are words
Mm-hmm.
like and crazy for you, and at one point love. So, but he doesn't fully grasp what that means.
Right.
But it's, and it's there, which, there are just,
I look forward to looking at the AO3 tag for this.
oh my god, it's gonna be, yeah, there's some stuff in particular. Like, this is gonna get downright.
We have been tap dancing around this one scene. So I chortled because I went to open the first manga and the page opened to the scene.
Oh,
We're we're gonna have to talk about it.
yeah, but it's just like, yeah, no, I have so many notes on just like these. I know what you're thinking. But no, yeah, no. Before we go into the scene, I want to mention another thing that I think was, which happens after the scene.
Oh, we're still doing foreplay? Okay.
Yeah, but I just want to just again to establish why,
Yes.
like, the inherent queerness. Like, I have so many notes on like these types of hints, but I think that there's one
Mm-hmm.
conversation in particular, and like this one panel, and like it was going viral on the internet. I'm kind of sad about the official translation, because it's not as funny, because we've all seen the panel of Hikaru saying, "Oh, that LGBT thing,"
Yes.
and it's spelled funnily, and that's not how they translate that in the Yen Press version,
Mm-hmm.
sadly. But that scene, I think, is very telling, because it is again a flashback.
Mm-hmm.
Yoshiki and Hikaru hanging out at the creek, and they're talking about like village gossip, because again,
Mm-hmm.
small town, everybody knows everybody. Everybody's in
Mhm.
everybody's business. Yoshiki
Mhm.
is constantly being faced with, everyone's talking about his bangs are too long and his sister doesn't go to school and his mom is from Tokyo and what do you expect from an outsider? Like he's very aware that everyone's talking about his family, right? And they're
Yes.
talking about someone else's family
Mhm.
and how Hikaru has heard them talking about someone's relative and that
Mhm.
he's sick. And then Yoshiki replies, Yasuke's not sick, he's a homosexual. And then Hikaru is like, oh, homosexual, or that LGBT thing, like he
Mhm.
sort of gets it but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And and then, so in this conversation, basically, the little, like, through these little very short exchanges, we learn that there's a guy who is someone's relative, who's
Mhm.
basically someone's, supposed to follow in their footsteps, but he's left for a bigger city
Mhm.
because he's gay. They're
Mhm.
talking about him like he's sick.
Mhm.
And then Yoshiki comments, like, offhandedly, that this village is so small. That
Right.
is incredibly telling,
It's it's so telling. I felt like I was hit over the head with a bat.
right?
Like not in a bad way, because like typically I think for anything else, that kind of heavy-handedness would piss me right the fuck off. I I think to credit the series, I think in any other thing, that would have been like, I fucking hate this shit, and like throws manga across a room. But it was so tastefully handled,
Mm,
and you get this acceptance from Hikaru that feels very similar to what that acceptance looks like in real life, where it's like,
mm.
I don't really understand it. I also don't really care
No,
if
and then,
there's frogs.
yeah, and then he literally follows it up with, because Yoshiki is like, "Oh, this town is so small," and like
Mm-hmm.
he implicitly, we understand that he wants to leave, and it's
Mm-hmm.
hinted at multiple times that Yoshiki, he's an insect nerd. Like, he should go to Tokyo and study insects or something
Mm-hmm.
and become like a professor because he's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yoshiki says that, the town is really small, and Hikaru follows it up with how, oh, why don't you come stay at my house tonight? Like, he is his safe space. Like, he's offering up, somewhere for him. Like, there's a parallel there to whatever's happening in the present, but it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like he doesn't fully understand, but he still offers that acceptance
Right.
and that safety.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it's very hard to read this and not see the queerness.
Yeah. Long and short of it is, no, it's not BL because it doesn't follow BL tropes. However, if you're looking at this and thinking, hey, this is hella gay, you're not
You
wrong.
are not incorrect.
I will also sidebar to say, um, it's been a little bit easier to recommend this to people who are outside of the fandom,
Mm,
because while the queerness is very present, there's so much other stuff going on that, and I think that also has helped a lot with its popularity.
yeah.
Is that if this was a more straightforward BL, it would have that, oh well, it's gay stigma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's been really, really beneficial that, like, yes, it is undeniably a queer story. There's also so much else going on, and it's queerness written in the way that it could be a symbol for any kind of otherness.
Mm,
You could, in theory, paint any kind of otherness on
yeah.
this experience, which I have a love hate relationship with, is like vague queer issues.
Mm.
Um, but I remember it being very, very useful for like during like the Steven Universe era where people were like, I can't understand gay romance. Like, you can't understand love. You can't understand the concept of loving another person.
I feel like that says a lot about that kind of person, honestly.
Yeah. So I remember like vague queer feelings being really, really useful during like that Steven Universe period. Before everything was fine for a little while, and now everything is no longer fine. Stairs in American politics.
Good God.
Uh, I loved this, and I haven't loved something in so long.
Isn't it a lovely feeling?
It's actually kind of scary because I haven't loved something in so long. I don't know what to do with it. It reminds me a lot of like how I felt about Sarazanmai, where
Yeah.
it was like, oh, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Oh my god, I'm crying.
Yeah, I did get that when you were sending me messages. Like that was the vibe. I was absolutely thinking of you and Sarasamai when you were sending me those messages.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do some scene analysis, shall
Oh
we?
God.
I think what's interesting is again like that first major scene where we reveal that the Hikaru we see is not the Hikaru that Yoshiki knows.
Mm.
Um, and this is probably when it's at its most obvious. Like he's not necessarily great with pronunciation and language, which I think is interesting. Like, oh yeah, like all these things that you need to pass for human, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't know that. Like you wouldn't understand. Do chaos entities know about ice cream? And that makes me sad that they don't.
Yeah. Right.
I feel like that could have solved the entire issue. Just leave a fucking Magnum bar out in the woods and we wouldn't
maybe
have problems anymore.
maybe that's what Nonuki-sama wanted all along.
Also, I seriously hope no one can hear this. My upstairs neighbor, their dryer is working overtime, and
Oh, is that what it is?
it feels like someone is fucking into the earth. It is
It's not.
so loud.
I thought someone was like hammering or something.
That is a dryer.
Oh my God.
I don't know what they have in. I was gonna say I don't know what's in that load, and then I remembered what show I was on, so I'm not gonna say that. But it sounds like someone is trying to fuck into the earth, and I'm sorry. But I feel like that first scene is so illuminating
Mm.
because one, it really reveals Yoshiki's hand a lot. Because I feel like Yoshiki's character could very, very easily be classified as like, oh, passive victim.
Mm.
He just wants his friend back. He's so sad.
Yeah.
His family is fucked. The poor boy just in the closet struggling.
Yeah.
And like, no, he knows what's going
No,
on.
and he knows. Like that's the thing. We find out later. He knows.
He
He
knows a
knew all
lot.
along. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
yeah.
we're dancing around it. We've been dancing around it for so long.
It's been an hour. Let's just get to the juicy part. No pun intended. Like
So, how do you even set this up? Uh there's a very classic BL setup of
mhm.
both boys during gym, and there's like a hint of skin exposed, and Yoshiki is like not very subtly eyeing Hikaru.
Mm.
Like it feels like a 90s BL setup.
Yeah,
It really
and
does.
like literally the way this entire scene is framed when um because they're in typical BL fashion.
Mhm.
I mean, typical high school manga fashion. You know, they're in the storage, like the gym storage, and it's
Yes.
dark and clammy, and there's like beads of sweat on their skin, which may be because it's hot, but it may be because they're nervous
Mhm.
and excited and all of these
Mhm.
things, and they're in this dark, cramped room, and Hikaru is like Yoshki's seated, like he's
Mhm.
he's like propped up on something, and Hikaru's kind of like standing between his legs. Like the whole frame, like the way it's framed, it's like the lead up to a sex scene. The whole thing is framed incredibly sexual. Like they're both blushing, they're both like it's very, and then the thing happens, and it
Yeah.
doesn't get any less sexual. And I like basically the prelude to this is Yoshiki saying that he'll show no Hikaru saying he'll show Yoshiki
Yeah.
um like he'll show him what he's like or something like that.
Yeah. So Hikaru gets like an injury,
Yeah.
and Yoshiki in the infirmary is like, I don't understand. Why can you bleed? Like, what the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And Hikaru,
Right.
being Hikaru, who is dumb as a brick, is like, I love that that's what the demon understood. Oh, I am dumb as a brick.
Yeah.
Hikaru, with the tact of a bull elephant, is like, hey, you want to touch me?
Yeah, he's like literally, do you want to see what it's like? Do you want to see my insides basically?
Yeah.
And then so they're in the gym storage room.
Yeah. So
Hikaru
classic BL setup. They're in the gym storage room.
and like again, the way that it's drawn, the way that it's framed, like you can touch and feel like the tension here. And then Hikaru's shirt is open.
Yeah.
And then basically there's a slit in his chest.
Correct.
And he takes Yoshiki's hand and puts it inside of him.
Yes.
And then he tells him to move it around.
Yes.
Yoshiki is reflecting on how it feels like raw chicken meat and it's cold. Hikaru replies that you're kind of hot, like his hand is kind of hot inside of him. Then he tells him to move it higher, and then he starts saying that it feels really good.
And okay, so in the manga, he does a little slutty moan.
Yeah.
In the anime, it's turned into a bit more of a mocking thing. Like he moans like a porn star to be a shithead, which mood. Oh, but
like this is the. It's just so, and then you know, Hikaru expresses pleasure from this.
He does
Afterwards, and I think this is one of those parallels. Afterwards, you know, he closes up the hole in his chest.
As he do.
He buttons up his shirt, and then he says to Yoshiki, "Come on, it ain't dirty or anything," which you know is how queer sex is very often framed, or sex in general. If you're, you know, in a conservative environment, like it's like they did something weird and shameful, and he's trying to be like, it's okay, it's not.
Well, and it's so interesting because like that's an ongoing theme with characters in this show is that so apparently ghost fucking isn't super uncommon
No,
in this weird fucking village.
There are a lot of like mediums and people connected to the supernatural. Like once you start talking to these other people in this village,
Yeah.
this
Apparently everyone's fucked a weird entity.
Yeah, and I think it's so fascinating as well. Like again, when Yoshiki talks to Kurabayashi, the regular housewife who's absolutely not at all a medium, and you know doesn't have any stuff in her closets or anything, right? Like the thing is, this the chest scene, to call it that, they call this mixing. Like they're mixing, right? The entity is mixing with Yoshiki. This is not the last time they end up doing this. They will do this multiple times. Every time it gets more sexual, and the parallels are more like, again, with the words that they are using about it, like how Yoshiki reflects on how it's gross, it's good. It's like hearing dialogue from a BL scene, whereas like the Uki is like, don't touch me there, don't do that, this is so gross, this is so weird, and then he ends up really enjoying it. Like there are a lot of parallels. So Yoshiki talks to this housewife medium person who sees him and realizes that he's had like relations in some way with something that isn't human, and she says that he needs to stop mixing with it. And then later she reflects, let's see, I wrote it down. So when she realizes who it is, that it's Hikaru, she says, this is a grown ass middle-aged woman who, as she is saying this, is blushing. She says, so you're close enough with this person to be mixing with them, eh? I assumed it was a girlfriend or something.
Right, like it. Even this moment where Yoshiki puts his whole arm into this amorphous chest cavity is still paralleled with the dirtiness of queer sex.
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, if you were mixing with a young lady, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can put, I'm not going to say that, but that's okay. That's acceptable. It's weird that you're mixing with your male friend.
Yeah, but it's also the way I read it was that she acknowledges again how sexual it is, right? That the
It is.
mixing, and she knows.
Yeah.
She knows because
She
she's been there.
knows.
And
Yeah.
she knows inherently that there's been some mixing going on. Like, again, they've been having sex. And that's why she assumed he was close to a girl who was, you know, not possessed, because we find out it's not really a possession. It's weird. But like, again, like she assumed it would be a girl. And then she sees it's a boy. And then she's like, oh, you know, like, yeah, it's right.
It's such a good scene. I will say I really like seeing it animated.
Yeah, same. It was like they really went for it, and
They went for it.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it might be my favorite scene, and not just because I'm a freak of nature, you know, like, but like I just think because I just have so much to say about it, and you know,
Yeah. I think it's that. I think it's so well animated and well done.
It's really well done.
The sound effects are great. The voice acting is great. Like everything about it is so well done, except for that slight change of Hikaru being a bit of more of a shithead.
Yeah.
Than like actually enjoying it. But I think if I saw that animated, I would combust.
Yeah, and he did, like, in the manga as well, like at the end of the scene he does something like stupid, but it's not like in the middle of it, like, but there's still like that aspect of, you know, oh, I'm just kidding with you kind of, but not at that moment. And again, like, I would also combust, and I have said this so many times. When I first saw this, there was one thing on my mind, and that was the fucking demon chest fucking scene from Mad K.
Carola has been talking about Mad K so much.
I love Mad K so much.
I have received so many messages about Mad K.
Oh my god, I love Mad K, but like just the parallels, because I felt like, and I think I posted this to my Insta story when that episode aired and that scene came on. I was like, I feel like I'm watching Mad K, and oh my god, if Mad K got an OVA, I would die. I would just die. You don't understand. I love it so much. Apparently, this is my queer body horror. Like, this is what I want in my life. But like the parallels are there, and it's very similar.
It is very similar.
And like if you
it's such a fascinating scene because, you know, as much as I say like, oh yeah, like this is an easy one to give to the normies, then they're gonna hit that scene and a decision has to be made. Because I feel like, so like that's one of my favorite things about anime in general is like there's always something that you can recommend to your friend who's totally a normie. But there's always one scene that you're going to have to grapple with. There's always one. It's one scene or like one theme.
We're going to be like, because it's kind of like, okay, see, it's really good. I promise you. There's going to be this one thing. Just try to.
I promise you. I promise you this is just like a Scorsese movie, except. You just have
to like, but like it's kind of the same with, I mean, dare I mention it or you will combust, but like, you know, like Devilman Crybaby, which for a lot of reasons has a lot of warnings attached to it depending on, you know, a lot of things. But it's one of those things, you know, you're like, or Berserk for that matter, like you want to recommend it because it's so good and the themes are so good, but then you have to be like, oh, just try to get past.
Yeah, for Devilman Crybaby and for Berserk, there's this weird amorphous twink who's here to ruin everyone's day. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, and it's like, and Mm.
I I love that, like, I did recommend this to one of my guy friends, and I don't think he's watched it yet, but I'm excited to have to explain this scene.
Yeah.
Um, and I recommended it to a few other friends, and like they've watched it and really not asked a lot of questions because I guess like the body horror aspect of it shines
Mm.
so pure and strong that you can just kind of run with it. And if you aren't being beaten over the head by queer subtext or queer text, maybe this is just like a weird thing that you do that's usually not super uncommon in horror stories where it's like, oh, I want to see what you've become. Like the touching of the monster is
Yeah.
always an eroticized scene. So when it's done to Frankenstein's monster, it's not entirely different, and we can
Mm.
rationalize that. But also, don't fuck Frankenstein's monster.
Or Frankenstein, because honestly, he was a terrible, terrible person. I have no. Okay, we don't let me talk about Victor Frankenstein because I hate that man so much.
I will say there is an artist that I love who did like a small BL comic series of Victor Frankenstein and his monsters, like a domestic couple. And I'm gonna have to show that to you. But okay,
That's problematic because Victor Frankenstein is, the dad, but you know,
we just talked about a couple of high schoolers doing just some weird shit together.
listen. I also have another note on that, by the way, because we
Oh
have to
god.
talk about the chicken. And I just want to say something that, because I mean, obviously, chicken, raw chicken, fried chicken, chicken is ruined for Yoshiki forever. Like he will never look at chicken the same way ever again. Um, but what I was thinking, because this is very interesting in the visuals in
Mm-hmm.
the manga as well as in the anime, they are using actual footage
Mm-hmm.
of raw chicken, like clipped in the anime. There's like real life footage of raw chicken,
Yes.
of like raw
Yes.
chicken meat. And in the manga as well, but it's in black and white, so
Mm-hmm.
it's slightly different. And the only thing I'm seeing, Amanda, and I don't think that this is, I mean, I don't know if this is done on purpose. Maybe I'm just ruined. Last month with Dr. Kirsten, we talked about the cross section x ray. And all I can
We did.
see when I see the raw chicken is the cross section. I've seen enough male insides during BL to draw
So
that conclusion.
so I think you are broken because I didn't get that.
You didn't?
No,
Okay, maybe it's
I.
just me then.
It's just you. Oh,
Okay, good to know. If you are as destroyed as me, please let us know in the comments.
I think
I
key takeaways more. So like being black and from the south, I've marinated a lot of raw chicken. It was easy to connect with that tactile sensation.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, but like the concept of it, no, I know that that's not sex analogous enough. I guess because again, raised in the South. Um, but I mean, I'm also fine with you being broken. You've been at my side for years. Clearly, I don't have a problem with this.
I mean, that's why I'm on this podcast.
Yeah, it's like
If I wasn't broken, I wouldn't
I
be here.
identified the brokenness in you, and I was
I
like,
am
I can make this work.
See, these are the takes that I am here to present on this here podcast. This is
We were both on our best behavior during the first stage of our arranged marriage, and then the mask slipped for both of us.
the mask slipped so quickly.
Just immediately, the mask slipped for both of us, and then it was like, oh, I see, we can be allies now.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
but I
but
think
yeah.
that scene is fascinating to me. I really did like seeing it animated because it does. So I listen, I love manga as a format, but seeing the Summer Hikaru Died animated was really something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was really cool. It's such a cool way to deliver that art style.
Mm.
Uh
I know it works really well. I am
it
so I'm so glad we're getting another season.
I am too. I am too. Um, Speaking of visuals, hey, don't be like me and watch this super late at night. Those monsters will appear in your dreams. And I made that as a joke to my friend because I had like finished like 2 or 3 episodes and I was like, okay, if I do like one more, I'm on track for my binge. And I was like, watch me see these monsters in my dreams. My guy friend is like, hey, maybe you don't need nightmares, friendo. Like, go to sleep. I watched another episode. They totally did show up in my dreams. Thank you for the nightmares. Weird, weird gay anime. Thanks for that.
Again, all I have to say to that is fucking wig monster. Like, when
It
I
wasn't.
say I literally screamed.
It wasn't the wig monster for me. I think it was like it was the one that looked like Siren Head.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah. Monster design is amazing.
amazing.
Speaking of monster design, do we want to talk about the episode where our favorite disaster appears? Because I feel like again we've been dancing around him too. Because listen, there are a lot of things that Carola and I are, and one of those things is consistent. And if a chain smoking blonde who is an absolute hot mess shows up, both of us are going to perk up like a dog's ear when they hear the word treat.
You are 100% correct.
I was about to say, tell me where the lie is.
Now, okay, I will say this. Again, I'm very like this is just a quick side note. I was when I was watching, like when I returned to the anime and I was reporting back to you, there was one moment where I was super confused where I was like, I cannot remember this from the manga. What the hell? But then I remembered something that happened after that. And so I have a sneaking suspicion that I may actually have like shelved the volumes as I do and then forgotten to read one of them and then just jumped onto like the final one. Because when I was binge reading today, I was like, I'm pretty sure I have not read volume 4 before. Like it was very confusing to me. So, it's been a while. And I will admit that while I certainly do like this blonde disaster of a man named Tanaka who works for some weird company and comes in to do something we don't really know. He's looking for something. Is what we know. And he's been called in to the village to find out what the fuck is happening. And I will say that I don't think I paid him much mind the first time around when he appeared in the manga, but then of course I watched the anime, and something happens when these characters are animated. But then I went back and like, so I'm over here like I'm over here like reading. He appears for the first time, I think, in volume 2, towards the end of volume 2, maybe the beginning of volume 3, and the one note I have written on the first panel that he is in is that this man's hair is so fried that you can tell from the drawings. Like, it is magnificent. There's this close-up of like the top of his head, and his bleach blonde hair is so fried. This man is a disaster, and I love him. And like I said to you in the chat, it's like if you took Shizuo from Durarara and Nanamin from Jujutsu Kaisen. There he is.
So you best believe when a smart mouth blonde with a deep voice and a cigarette addiction showed up.
With a hamster.
With a fucking hamster.
Which, by the way, we have to talk about the hamster.
Listening to J-pop, Carola and I were so... I hate how little it takes.
I am a simple person. I don't have to defend myself. I have a type.
Tanaka is weird because he's the best kind of character where you never know what his motivations are, and it doesn't make sense even if you do. No, like, even if we knew his character better, that doesn't make anything that he does retroactively make sense.
And like, the thing is, he is a perfect representative of what they call in Japanese gyapumoe. Like, gyapumoe Moe, because he has that weird unkempt, rugged, appearance, and he's like he
Mhm.
could have been a Yakuza character, which,
The
as you
Yakuza wouldn't
know,
accept a dirty shirt.
no, but the two of us have a type, and so, therein lies some of the allure. And but then you have like, so he outwardly looks like a certain kind of character, but then,
Mhm.
he listens to AKB48 and keeps repeating, like listening to the same song and singing it all the time, and he carries around a hamster. Like there's a major gap here
Mhm.
between what you think is going to be like and what he actually is like, and you don't understand him. He
Mhm.
makes no sense, and therefore he is perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
See, I didn't really like, now that you're saying it, you're right. I didn't see him as super Gatmoe, mostly because like he just in a weird way reminded me of me, or like this outwardly goth person. But if you show me a bird, I'm gonna like cry. Like
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
just it
Yeah.
reminded me of me and so many of my friends who were like metal listeners, were former Trenchcoat Mafia, super goth, but then it's like the Caramel Johnson comes on and we're all just
But
bopping.
yeah, and I mean, I also think that I was a very easy prey. Like I would have loved him anyway. But I do wanna point out that right before I went back, and watched the anime, I
Mhm.
just finished rewatching Jujutsu. And so, Nanamin was fresh in mind. And
Mhm.
I am so, like, the brain rot is so real. He's just a perfect character type. Like, I don't even care. I don't care what his motivations are. Like, I just love him. I
And
love him.
his lack of motivations, he's such an interesting chaos agent of a character because you already have this weird fucking town. Like,
Yeah.
there's already this Scooby Doo ass, weird ass fucking town where nothing makes sense. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. I mean, the only thing is that unfortunately, you can't just pull off a mask and it's like just the innkeeper or whatever. Like, this place is fucking cursed for real.
I would love it to be that simple, though. I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of figured out it's not that complicated, but it also is very complicated.
Yeah.
Like he just shows up. No one likes him. He's off-putting. He's aggravating. No one wants to be around him. He's disrespectful and weird, but he is horrifyingly good at what he does.
And no one understands what he does, or like the thing is, because on one hand, like, he has been sent there by his company,
Mm-hmm.
this unnamed company that he works for,
Mm-hmm.
that apparently sends him on these missions, looking for something which we do not know what is.
Mm-hmm.
And then simultaneously, he has also been called in by these old men of the village who
Yes.
have realized that things have really started getting fucked. Like, it was already
Mm-hmm.
bad, but whatever protective measures that they usually have in place to prevent the village from falling into complete fuckery
Right.
have been failing. They have to call in this dude who they do not like.
No.
And in comes, like, in comparison to these old men, he is this, like, this young, obnoxious, disrespectful dude who just, like, waltzes in, and it makes no sense. Also with the hamster, and no one understands the hamster,
No
and
one understands
I understand the hamster even less, because let's see, which I put a note in for this,
Yes.
but I can't remember which volume it was. It may have been the final one, but maybe it was the. Let's see. No. What? Give me a moment. I'm doing research.
Oh my god, you're so weird.
No, but I'm just, because
It's
it was already weird, and then what the hell? Okay, the point is, in one of the volumes,
mm-hmm.
there is like at the end of the chapters, like, there's often like a single illustration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, with maybe like a short gag, or
Mm-hmm.
like just an explanation of a character or something. There's a drawing of the hamster. And when Tanaka bumps into Yoshiki at night in the
Mm-hmm.
town, he tells him that the hamster is 12 years old.
Yes.
And Yoshiki's like, that is impossible. And then at the end, I believe, of that chapter, it says, like, just like an author's note, there's a drawing of the hamster, and it says that for complicated reasons, the hamster is actually a child, but so it has the soul of a child for reasons that they can't go into. And then because it has the soul of a child, it can sense demon entities. What?
You leave that weird man and his weird child hamster alone. He's
The hamster is important because it can sense spirits.
yes, yeah. The hamster is important. That part was where it got my way because it's like, oh, animals being able to sense spirits. That's a trope as old as time. Sir, that's a hamster.
Yeah, but also like that scene is like it's so because it's so out of nowhere. Like they bump into each other on the street. Obviously, Tanaka is trying to because he knows something's up, and he pretty quickly because again there are only two teenagers in this town, so so he's like, well, clearly, this shouldn't be too hard. So he seeks out Yoshiki to try to figure things out. And basically, all he has to make him do is touch the hamster because then the hamster will sense whatever and report back to him. And so, but the thing is, like, there's no natural transition. So he basically bumps into him, asks him what the local specialties are. They're having a very very stilted conversation, and then all of a sudden on the next page they're both holding the hamster, and there's this like glowy background, and they're just like laughing happily, and it's just so bizarre.
It's so cute in the anime.
It's so cute and so out of left field, like in this dark horror, like just like suddenly they're bonding over a hamster.
It's such a weird moment of levity, and it also breaks so much seriousness to Tanaka's character because he does some egregious shit.
Yeah.
And his brief appearances.
I also think, which I realized as I was reading it, is that while the manga has been adapted very well, as we've said in the anime, they have actually switched some things a little bit around so that the narrative isn't like one-to-one. Like they're still covering the exact same thing. Like they're not adding anything or necessarily removing things, but they've just like connected things a little bit differently so that in the manga there are things that where you may not see the full scene until later. Like they will kind of like give you a flashback of a previous scene and give you the full picture. And so some of the things that they're doing, especially with Tanaka in the anime versus the manga, like the scenes are slightly like they're connected slightly differently, which makes it easier to follow in some way, because it's kind of like, because it does a lot of jumping and Tanaka's just like off to the side doing his own thing, and you're not really sure. Like I didn't understand at first, and this could be because I was very tired, but I didn't connect that, because he goes into the forest and he does that weird blood ritual with the bell and the little shrine, and then in like the next episode or whatever, they're at the Famiresu and that thing comes in, and I didn't connect that was his, what he basically calls like his tracking dog. I thought that was just one of those impurities that they call them that came hunting for Hikaru.
The series is really, really interesting. I think the anime does a bit of a better job making actions line up with consequences. So I do appreciate the anime in that regard. But the story overall, if I had to say like one slight negative, is that pacing sometimes feels really off. Where it's like we lingered too much on some things. And other things are like, whoo, it's gone. Like, we're never going to talk about this again.
I think the pacing, I mean, and this is usually how it is. I think the pacing is better in the manga. However, like I don't disagree with the choices that they made with the anime either. Like, like it really works, and I don't really have a lot of things to say that I don't like about it. To be honest, like I mean, it's not finished and I don't know what's
Yeah,
happening.
exactly. Like
That's
it's
my
hard to
number one
say.
complaint.
Yeah, it's hard to say because we don't know yet. Okay. Do you want to talk about the lore dump episode?
Yes, I guess.
Mostly because I want to discuss Old Man Yaoi.
All right. Yes. Yes.
Carola, I
You're gonna be so happy when we do the special one day.
one day. So
Old man.
okay, yeah. So they Hikaru and Yoshiki basically are like, "Hey, we're gonna Scooby Doo the fuck out of this. We're gonna figure out what's up with this weird village and all the other weird villages." Um, the suspension of disbelief issue I mentioned is I'm a huge nerd, and me and my friend Amber, like, we have gone on like actual missions to find like hidden and lost places, like fucking Indiana Jones.
Of course you have. I
So
am.
when it's like someone is like, "Oh, here's a weird town," and all the other weird towns are all named after body parts, I would have been in that shit immediately. Like I would be the local town expert.
Yeah. You would be no, but see, but you would be the brother, like their classmate's older brother who studies like the occult and folklore in Tokyo
Yes,
to figure these things
that
out. Like
would be
that would be
me.
you.
That would be me, and like has a
And
weird
then
podcast that no one listens to.
yeah, and then once you'd graduated the university, you would have become the Tanaka character.
Yeah,
Like
I would go back
that's
to the
just
weird. I would have gone back to the weird small town and just like set up like a small museum. It's like, hey, you want to talk about our weird ghosts?
right.
Like that. That's one of the reasons why like that was so hard for me to believe. Like these kids finally are like taking interest in their city's folklore, and it's
And
like,
and the only reason, I mean, which honestly good reason is that okay, I died and now I am back, but I'm not me. I am something and I don't know what I am. And I
yes,
don't know how this happened.
yes,
And then as they are trying, because that's the thing, because initially they're not even trying to figure out like stuff about the town. They're just trying to understand what the fuck happened to Hikaru and what
yes,
is he? And
right,
that kind of leads them that like they keep talking to people almost by accident. They keep hearing things,
mm-hmm.
which leads them down rabbit holes where it's like, oh, they look for one thing and then they find something else. But I do think it's like you're saying, like very interesting how they live in this town, and even though the adults and particularly the old folks, they don't really want to talk about how cursed this town really is,
Yeah,
which typically this is what they do. They try to quiet these things down, but it's just like
mm-hmm.
you live in a city or like a village named Kubitachi, like like basically like severed head, like, and all of, I mean, that's not what it really means, but like all of these villages have the names of body parts, and you're telling me you never looked at a
Yeah.
map
You've
and
never
see that it shapes a person.
you've never opened a book. like that drove me insane as a
No,
nerd.
and like it's fair for Hikaru, because whether it's the real Hikaru or because as we know, as we learn, the real Hikaru, dumb as a brick, doesn't like to study. The new Hikaru likes studying, but is
Loves
also
it.
stupid and also doesn't understand what he's doing. So it's fair that Hikaru has never opened a book and looked into this. But Yoshiki is smart. But I
Yoshiki's
guess
so
he's
smart.
just he's just too preoccupied with his bugs.
Well,
Like I guess he just doesn't.
and I think again the thing is, so the lore dump episode is basically we see throughout the anime and the manga that Yoshiki has a really, really strained relationship with his father. Daddy issues is a big tent theme of the Summer Hikaru Died.
And of Amanda's attraction to the Summer Hikaru Died.
Shut. Shush.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
So they have this strained relationship, and finally, Yoshiki like reaches a point with his research where he reaches the dead end, and he's like, "Oh, my dad is a secret ghost weeb."
Yeah. I mean, no,
What
that's
did I just
not.
Why don't I just go ask my dad?
I mean, the reason he asks his dad. Okay, a little bit more of backstory is that
Please.
Hikaru's family,
Yes.
the Indos, and as we find out, I think it's like in volume 4 or something. Indo, the name is like it has something to do with a shrine. Like the
Yes.
name itself reflects this shrine. The Indo family have a plight in the village.
Mm-hmm.
The Indo family cursed the village. So there's like a whole backstory there. So what they know is that they know that there's something about Hikaru's family.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like, why was he in the mountain? Well, it's related to something like a ritual that has to do with the family, but
Mm-hmm.
he can't remember what that was. And Yoshiki doesn't know because he's never been told. And no one, like, people keep talking about the curse of the village and
Mm-hmm.
the curse of the Indos, and how the
Mm-hmm.
Indos have basically like a, well, they need to repay the village. Basically, they have to repent for their sin, like the sin of the
Yeah.
Indo family. And so because they can't get any further, and because Yoshiki's Hikaru's dad is dead, he
Mm-hmm.
died in the mountains.
Yes.
The only solution left is talking to Yoshiki's father, who was
Mm-hmm.
Hikaru's father's best friend. And that's why he decides to talk to his dad.
Okay, so Yoshiki's dad and Hikaru's dad had a secret love affair working as loggers in the woods.
Of course.
They are so close. They are so close. They're high school friends. They raise their kids to be friends. All I'm saying is, loggers go up into the mountains for extended periods of time and don't come back down for a while. And I've seen Brokeback Mountain.
No, I'm also, yeah. No,
I'm
and
just saying.
no, and again, it's one of those things, right? Because you know, in small town societies, like, secrets are gonna be secrets, and people are gonna do what they do, and they still marry women. Like, it's possible. I like. I'm not saying I don't see it.
Yeah, I also don't need your approval. Oh,
No, I know. I am well aware. Which
that was which. So we get this beautiful lore dump. Also, Carola, how many messages did I send you about finding Hikaru's dad attractive?
a few, a number, few, you know, and like, but you're not wrong.
I'm not.
He's a pretty man.
He is. He
Well,
is.
and also, like, you know, to build under your theory here, you know, is that because we don't know anything about Yoshiki's dad, right? Because
No.
apparently, up until the point where he knocks on his door and asks about the Indo curse, he hasn't spoken to his dad for a year, and we don't know why. The dad is like shut up in his room
Yeah.
and like doesn't talk to the rest of the family. We don't know why. The only thing we know is that, you know, he was Hikaru's dad's best friend.
Mhm.
And so the only logical conclusion to draw is that, well, his friend died and they actually were more than friends, and now he's depressed and shut up in a room.
Well, and to go even further with that, it's very, very much mentioned that there are issues in the marriage between Yoshiki's mom and dad. So it isn't just, oh, you know, this old man's best friend and golf buddy died. It was, there are already issues at home. He already feels super detached from his family because of how he works. And you add that really the only other person that he held sacred, much like his son, died tragically on that fucking mountain.
You know,
Yes.
I just want to know, like, sometimes I'm thinking, I mean, I guess that's your answer because he was attached, right? But as we've mentioned, Yoshiki and his sister, their mom is from Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Why did she agree to move to Death Village? And why did father not take this as an opportunity to get the fuck out of Death Village? like I do understand why the Indos can't leave. Like the Indos can't leave because they need to be there, except spoiler, the ritual that they keep doing apparently isn't necessarily as necessary as they think it is, which we don't know what that means yet, but you know, they'll
No.
probably let us know at some point. But it's like there's this whole thing where, you know, the Indos can't leave because they are just like they are tied to the village,
Mm-hmm.
and because of what they did or like what their ancestor did,
Mm-hmm.
they have to pay sacrifices to this mountain forever.
Right. And it's really, really interesting because I love that lore dump episode where you get flashbacks
Mm.
of Hikaru's dad and Yoshiki's dad, really just like talking, especially with them being in high school still, where it's like, no, you got to marry the first girl you see, and it's like that's such an old country thing.
Yeah,
Like,
but in this case it's literally like because the only people in this village who are protected by like from the curse of the
yeah,
village are the Indos. So
yeah,
if you are married into the Indo family, you will be safe.
yes,
And therefore, you have to marry someone the moment you fall in love with them or else they're fucked.
yeah.
Which
Otherwise,
made
something
me
normal is going to happen to them.
yeah, which makes me wonder because going back to Hikaru and or you know fake Hikaru and Yoshiki, because what Hikaru remembers eventually is that when he came upon real Hikaru laying there dying in the mountain, he basically granted or like it basically granted him a wish, which was don't let Yoshiki be alone, like take
Mm-hmm.
care of him, which was how his body was basically given to this entity who then came back and has these strong feelings for Yoshiki, which makes me wonder, would he like, because this is a creature who isn't bound right by the logic and regulations of human society because he doesn't understand it. He is likely to try to get Yoshiki into the Indo family registry to protect him because that's what he's supposed to do. And like it just made me think
That's
I'm
just a
I
diplomatic way to put it.
I'm willing to take this marriage. I will accept it.
Well, and I think that's interesting because again, like no one else really liked the Indo family except for Yoshiki's family.
Yeah.
They're like the only other family that's close.
Mm.
So I don't know. I guess growing up in parts of the South where like these kinds of people exist, not necessarily where I'm from, but I have family in regions like that. Uh, that yeah, like you form your allies, you pick those that you want to be close to, and everyone else usually kind of leaves you the fuck alone. So I think it's interesting. I'm just saying there's clearly a generational pull between Indo men. Listen, I spent so much time crashing out over how hot Hikaru's dad was because for whatever reason, Hikaru's design did it for me. It's like that is the perfect anime boy design.
I mean, he is. We did discuss this. Yes, he's perfect, but also, you know, he is white-haired anime boy. Like by the rules of the universe, he is
Yeah,
a superior being. I don't make the rules. That's just how it is.
I love his weird freaky eyes.
Yeah, and it took me forever. I was looking earlier at the front cover of where did it go? Volume 3, where I
Mhm.
realized that for the longest time I thought this was Hikaru in a seifuku. Like I thought this was cross-dressing Hikaru. It's actually what's her name? Asuko?
Asuko?
Asuko, yeah.
We're gonna have to
I
talk about her.
do we?
We have to talk about her in one other scene.
Hmm.
Because otherwise I could be here all day talking about wanting to pipe this fictional old man. Um, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do media analysis.
Yeah. We're good at
Uh,
that. I also have one more scene. I realize, but yeah, let's do
okay.
Asuko.
Okay. Asuka's interesting because apparently everyone in this village, or too many people, because she's not from the village, she's from a town outside of it. A lot of
Yeah.
folks apparently can see ghosts and entities. She is one of them.
I don't think she can't see them. She can hear them.
She can hear them, yes.
Yeah.
Sense. Sorry,
Yeah.
sense.
But I believe her mom calls her like a seer, or maybe that
Mhm.
was Kurabayashi. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, Kurabayashi is the seer. Um,
basically, she can sense things that aren't
yeah,
necessarily there. And it's interesting because I will say, like, that, like, group of friends that isn't Yoshiki and Hikaru, there is a tendency to want to push them deeply into the background because all the interesting stuff is happening in the foreground. But
mm,
they're actually really necessary to the plot in a lot of ways, which I
mm.
applaud um, all the writing on. Because normally I would just put those characters in a trash bin and put them outside somewhere so I could focus on the foreground. But you need all of them. You need
Yeah,
all of them. You need this group of friends who know something happened to their friend, and most of them are just like, "Oh, he's back. No worries." And then
yeah,
one other person is like, "Something ain't
yeah.
right here," and that's
Something.
Osco.
Yeah,
And
and she is the second character to flat out ask Hikaru what he is.
yes, and it becomes a really, really interesting turning point in the series because one ongoing issue in The Summer Hikaru Died is Yoshiki has a monster boyfriend, but has a lot of complicated feelings about having a monster boyfriend.
I think that's fair.
I'm not a good person. Um, the entity that overtakes Hikaru is responsible for, allegedly, some grisly killings.
Yeah.
And Yoshiki's not happy about that. He doesn't like that this creature doesn't really understand the importance of life and death and
Mm,
the importance of a human life. And of course, this creature can't. This is a chaos entity that lives in the mountains. So a lot of the show is trying to teach something that fundamentally isn't human,
mm.
how to be human. And like not in the Frankenstein's monster kind of way, where in theory you probably could teach the monster human morality if you socialized him well enough. This is a chaos entity from the mountains. He literally will never understand the importance of human life.
Yeah.
And Yoshiki's trying to be like the moral compass of like, stop it! Stop
Yeah,
killing people!
don't do that. Yeah.
Bad! Spray bottle! Um, so Hikaru and Asuko go out to go get more snacks after this really, really big sleepover that they're having, which looked like so much fun.
Yeah, and I thought that that was so nice that they all got to have the sleepover together, by the
That
way.
was so nice. That
Yeah.
was really, really nice. And Asuko, she takes advantage of the moment. They're dark, walking in the backwoods. It's like, hey, you aren't real. Which, as a longtime horror fan, if you suspect that there's a replicant in your friend group, maybe don't do it when you're by yourself in the dark.
And the thing is, like, because she, as we find out, like, her approach, like, she thinks he's been possessed by a ghost or something, and
Yes.
she's asking out of concern because
Yes.
she is his friend, and her role, as she's been taught by her mom, basically, is that she uses her powers, her skill, to help people. And
Yes.
so to her, it's like, something happened to my friend. I need to figure this out because I want to help him. And
Right.
in the moment, she apparently doesn't consider the fact that whatever has taken over Hikaru
Right.
might not take very kindly to being called out on it in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night.
Correct.
And
Um,
so, yeah.
and then Hikaru proceeds to do what Hikaru has been doing with all the obstacles in his life, which is tries to kill her.
And I don't even think, like, because again, it's not even, a conscious choice from this creature that he is, like, it responds on instinct, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, in part, I think it's like instinctual that, he also reflects on this at some point, that it's like a little harder to control and it's like getting hungrier because it feels
Mhm.
empty, and like it tries to kind of like quench that hunger by
It
consuming
does, but
things.
it's also intensely selfish.
Yeah,
And that will be something that we discover later on in the series, is that a lot of it also is the creature's desire to keep having its fun.
yeah,
It really likes the life that it built. It really likes spending time with Yoshiki and
yeah.
like cosplaying as a teenager. It really likes that.
And it really likes ice cream. And
Really likes ice cream.
yeah, and but I think it's interesting how, because at a certain, like, to a certain extent, this entity knows that it has to be stealthy, right? It's
Yes.
trying really hard to replicate the real Hikaru, to try to emulate him as good as it can and all of
Mhm.
that. But it isn't very, like, it's not really putting up a fight when you clock it. So in
No.
both cases, when it's like, you're not Hikaru, are you? It just kind of goes, and then it just lets go.
Yeah,
And this,
he
and it
just
just goes
folds
oozing out.
immediately.
Like, he's not trying. It's just,
So he tries to kill Asuko, and plot contrivance, Yoshiki rocks up to them because it's like, oh, I just want to make sure that everything is okay. And he catches Hikaru like right as he's about to deliver the killing blow. Like she's already unconscious and fucked up, but like right before he like tears apart her atoms at a molecular
what?
level.
But the way I saw, and again, this might be Fujo glasses, I'm not sure, but like, because the whole thing is so like, the relationship between Hikaru and or Hikaru and Yoshiki is so coded at this point, and like the way that
Mhm.
they are interacting in, and the conversations they've had up to this point about how they need each other, or like
Mhm.
his feelings for Yoshiki, etc. So, and also because I think we've seen hints that Yoshiki was in love with the real Hikaru.
Mhm.
Um, so when he comes in and he sees, because basically I feel, especially in the manga, I think it's a little different in the anime, but
Mhm.
because it has movement and all of those effects. But in the manga, like the way that this panel is drawn, it almost looks like entity Hikaru is reaching out to touch Asuko in the
Mhm.
way that he has previously touched Yoshiki.
Mhm.
So my first impression wasn't that he sees Hikaru attempting to kill her, but that he's attempting to mix with her the way that he mixes with him. So
Mhm.
I read it as jealousy at first, like that Yoshiki, his immediate response is like jealousy, and he does have a jealous response to it
He
after.
does.
So it's kind of like it's a little mixed up, but yeah, he intercepts whatever's happening.
Yes. Um, and Yoshiki is trying to impress upon Hikaru, like, hey, you can't kill people.
Yeah,
Like that, like we have one rule and you keep breaking it. But the problem is that Yoshiki keeps approaching it like Hikaru is a house cat.
yeah,
So it doesn't, it's a lesson that doesn't really stick very easily because he's trying to teach Hikaru, yeah, like he's a cat. Like
yeah,
I don't know if you guys had this show over there, but we have like the Dog Whisperer with Caesar
yeah.
Milan. He's
We
like,
did. I didn't watch it a lot, but
yeah,
yeah,
I mean it wasn't good. Don't treat your dogs like that.
yeah,
But like it feels like he's trying to use that logic with this
yeah.
timeless chaos entity.
And like in this scene, which Asuko comes out of it fine. Like her hearing is slightly
I was
damaged,
about to
but
say
I love how she just no. But I love how she just wakes up because she passes out. She has no idea what happened, and she
yeah.
wakes up and she basically just continues where she left off, revealing that she doesn't actually know he's this chaos entity, demon
Mhm.
god from the mountains. She just thinks he's been possessed by a ghost and she wants to save him. And he's standing there,
Right.
kind of sheepishly, like, "Oh, I was about to kill you, but it's fine." But then after, because in this scene is also when when Yoshiki's suspicions are confirmed that Hikaru was in fact the one who had horrifically murdered some old lady in a neighboring village,
Mm-hmm.
and he confronts him with it, and then in a scene like a while later they talk about it again,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, you do understand that that was bad, right? Like, and then he's like, yeah, I feel bad about it, and then he thinks about it and he's like, actually, no, I don't, because I don't understand it. Like, he understands that killing is bad, but he
Yeah.
doesn't understand it because he has no concept of why it's bad.
Well, and I think also again, like tying it back to that selfishness, he is willing to do anything that protects his status
Mm-hmm.
as Hikaru. Like he is
Yeah.
willing to do whatever he needs to do, which I think is probably one of the reasons why he folds so fucking easily. Is that it's like, oh, I'm not here to present a continued facade. I am Hikaru. Deal with it, and if you don't, I have ways of handling that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
And
think that that's interesting, especially when it comes back to Asako.
yeah.
And you do get that moment where Hikaru really slips and he is obvious and clearly not human in the middle of school. And you think no
Yeah.
one's there, but someone is definitely there.
Yeah, because Atsuko witnesses this, and I wanted
Yes.
to mention, not, I don't think it's that one, but it also happens at school, because one of the mixing scenes that happens in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the scenes that I also think has very, very strong parallels to a very typical BL trope. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this trope exists in, in like romance and shoujo as well, but when they are in the classroom and
Mm-hmm.
Yoshiki, you know, Hikaru loses control basically, and he just like all of this stuff oozes out, and he's like filling up, like going inside Yoshiki, basically almost strangling. Like, it looks like you know, I've seen dojins similar to this, and but basically he just completely overflows, and you can, it's kind of like, wait, let me just look at my notes to make this make sense. Um, yeah, so he's overcome with these feelings because he's like, I know it ain't right, but I still like you.
Mm-hmm.
And and then, this, all this stuff that is, the real him starts oozing and spilling out of
Mm-hmm.
him. And basically it's, you can only liken it to a sexual assault. Like,
Yeah.
he is very much embodying, like literally embodying that BL trope, or the ero manga trope, going back
Mm-hmm.
to what we talked about last month as well, of, I have so much desire for you, I have such strong feelings for you, I
Mm-hmm.
literally cannot help myself, he can't help his feelings, is literally what he's doing. And of course
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't understand these feelings, he doesn't have any concept, he just knows that he feels this strong connection to Yoshiki,
Mm-hmm.
and he can't stop himself, leading to a very typical BL type, like, kind of scene where he's like forcing himself on him, and then
Mm-hmm.
Yoshiki has that moment of, it's so gross, it's so gross, it's so gross, and then it gradually changes to, it feels good,
Yes.
which is so parallel to, like, I've read these manga like over and over and over.
I've written that fan fiction.
Same. Like,
Oh.
we've all been, so it's, and that's kind of like a similar thing that happens, except when Asuko witnesses it, it's
Mm-hmm.
another one of those, Hikaru is kind of like slipping and tries to actually
Yeah.
kill Yoshiki, but
Yeah. He has the bloodlust.
he has lust and bloodlust. It's not.
Oh my god. So Asuka witnesses it and is like, okay, I'm not going to talk about this for a little bit. And then right before that hell of a season finale in the anime, uh, which I know we both have feelings about, um,
Yes, I have many feelings and
Hikaru,
trauma.
Hikaru is reminiscing and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss school because I'm gonna make the dumbest decision ever. Um, I'm gonna miss the school that I've been to for a few months, and all these people that I don't really know except for Yoshiki." And Asuko just like walks in and is like, "Hey, you skipped something," and it's like, "Whatever."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
It's
skipped
like,
the assembly, I think.
yeah, he skipped the assembly. It's like, whatever. And then she just comes out with it. It's like, you aren't Hikaru, like, definitely this time. There's no more suspicion. There's no, like, I
I
think you
saw
might.
you.
Yeah. It's like, I think you might be possessed. It's, hey, what the fuck are you? Because you're not human and I don't know what I just saw. And it's so interesting to me because I will say, this is partly where I'm going to have faith that this sorts itself out
Mm.
later in the manga and later in the anime. But this is where I start having issues. Is it feels like everyone and their mom at a certain point knows Hikaru is not Hikaru.
Except apparently Hikaru's mom.
Yeah, we don't have time to talk about her.
No.
We don't have time. But like, it reaches a point where it's like this very, very closely held secret sort of stops being a secret immediately. And I feel like, at least for me as a storyteller, it releases a little bit too much hot air.
Mm.
Because, like, if you're hinging it on the secret that he is not Hikaru, at this stage, a fair amount of people know. And I feel like if you really looked at him for longer than like 30 seconds, but I think everyone else isn't,
Clearly.
you could probably. I feel like if you look at him long enough and you just see he doesn't blink, you could probably tell. It's
Yeah. I mean, at this rate, I do wonder how long he's going to be able to keep concealing it from everyone else because he
because he's
is
already bad at it. Yeah, he's already
yeah,
not good at it.
and now he's beginning to kind of lose control, and like, and interestingly, this happens after, because after he tries to kill Yoshiki,
Mhm.
in the school when
Mhm.
Asuko sees him. That's when he literally, which by the way, I felt like this was very Sasunaru coded. He literally removes a piece of himself and gives it to Yoshiki, because by doing so, he makes himself weaker, so that this is supposedly supposed to stop him from hurting him in the,
It's the it's the gayest thing. Okay, so that scene is partially correct. You forget the part where Yoshiki stabs him with a fucking cleaver.
I didn't forget it. I just didn't think it was important to
You didn't think it was important?
No, it's important, but it's not necessarily important to, why he removes the shard, like the bone or whatever. But I mean, it's connected because it's in the same scene, obviously.
So it's important because they essentially level the playing field for each other. Like you mentioned
Yeah.
being Sasunaru coded. It's basically like this is their oath together. We're gonna stop trying to kill each other. I'm going to give myself an active handicap.
Mm,
So when that lust does overflow, which we know it will,
mm-hmm.
I will have a much harder time killing one, you, and two other people because
Mm.
that seems to be the thing that bothers Yoshiki. Yoshiki's fine with a lot of things, but he's not fine with that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And no, but yeah, well, I mean, the reason I guess I skipped it was because Yoshiki then literally carries this piece of Hikaru around in a Ziploc bag in
in his
his
breast
chest
pocket.
pocket. Yeah,
Mhm.
like just over his heart. Like he's
Yes.
fucking Naruto with his Sasuke necklace, Like,
It's the gayest thing, and it's also very, very interesting. But yeah, like
yeah,
that's basically their mutually assured destruction moment where it's like,
yeah.
okay, well, I acknowledge as Yoshiki, I acknowledge I can't really kill you, but also if you care about me in the way that you say that you do,
Mm,
Hikaru aside, current entity that I'm facing, if you care about me in the way that you say that you do, one, Hikaru wouldn't be cool with the loss of life like this, and two, I'm not cool with it.
mm.
So yeah, like they have like their mutually assured destruction moment where it's like, oh, it can't be killed, but it also wants to do what I say, or is at least
Mm.
willing to listen to me. Um, so it leaves us in a really, really interesting position with a lot of the friends. Because, yeah, and then, so before that, they had their little Ship of Theseus conversation where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, if one of us were to, come back different, what do you think? And he kind of just fucking out, like, hey, what? How long do you think it would take you guys to notice if it was me?
And they're like two of them are like, oh, we'd notice immediately because, and it's like, oh,
How long do you think you'd notice if I was different? And it's like, you fucking idiot. You said you had another scene that you wanted to talk about. Sorry, I
no,
jumped.
yeah, no, that was the one with the assault and the the parallels. That was the one.
It's such a good scene. It's so beautifully animated. I didn't feel concern for whatever the entity Hikaru is, but also like seeing him in danger is very affecting, mostly
Mm.
because of how Yoshiki responds.
Yeah, and because that's also interesting how, as the series progresses, Yoshiki, because there are two. We have been here for so long, and we haven't even touched on the Bury Your Gays trope, but there is such a thing as queer grief, right?
Yes.
And Yoshiki is still grappling with the fact that and Hikaru, fake Hikaru, does reflect on this, that his friends that he has now befriended as fake Hikaru, they don't get to mourn their friend and move on properly because most of them don't know that he's dead. For Asuko and Yoshiki, they know that he's gone, but they still have to deal with seeing his face every day, right? So Yoshiki is still grappling with the whole like his best friend is gone, but more and more he is becoming attached to fake Hikaru as an entity, like as an individual in and of itself, that this codependency that they have developed where he that's why it's interesting, because when fake Hikaru gives him that piece of himself, that weakens him. And there is a point at which Yoshiki wants to give it back because he's afraid that Hikaru will get killed again. Like he'll lose
He
the
almost does.
Yeah, because he gets his head chopped off, which, by the way, which was why that should have been my first hint, I think, as to having skipped a volume, because when I opened volume 5 and Hikaru's head was off, I was like, why can't I remember that? Like, I have no idea. Like, maybe I read it and then just like it just dropped from my mind.
Our awful blonde man did it.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, but he now it's getting like it's different because now he has, like, Yoshiki has a relation with this entity that he also has some sort of emotional attachment to. And so if something is like, I think that there's even like when he realizes that there's a chance of losing this Hikaru as well, where he wants to give back the piece of him, that he's kind of willing to accept even him killing things, like killing people, as long as he doesn't leave him behind again.
Yeah, like Yoshiki has a really, really interesting character arc where he does this almost like holier than thou shit. Where it's like, I am a good, normal person who only slightly wants to fuck this strange chaos entity. And
only slightly.
Yeah. And killing is wrong. And I'm going to make you, chaos entity, conform to human morality, even though you have physically no concept of it. And then by the end, he's like, kill them all. He got him, I love.
Yeah, like, because essentially that's where we're ending up. Like, I
personally think that's a much more interesting story. That's the story I'm here for.
And we've had, like, we've seen some stories like that, and they,
Yeah.
like, they are interesting. I think, it's I think that this is like Yoshiki's trajectory is like going, he's literally about to embody the whole, rather, like, he starts out on the field of I can fix him, but he ends up at I can make him
Make
worse.
him,
Like,
that's like that's yes. Yes.
and
Please.
personally, I don't care which direction this goes in,
Please
honestly, but
Mokumokuren.
like, this would be fun. Like, I think it
Yes.
would be really, really fun.
Please make my dreams come true, because that's all I wanted from the start, from jump, when it's like you're not the real Hikaru. Let's fuck shit up. I want them to go to Pride in Tokyo, have like a bender weekend, and then come back and burn that weird old town to the
Yeah,
ground.
but like, honestly, and I was just thinking, because this town is fucked from the get-go,
Right,
right?
like
And like, we still don't really know everything about it. We don't know what they mean when they say that, like, things aren't what they seem and the ritual
right.
is actually kind of pointless. Okay, so in that case, here's a solution. Why don't you just go scorch earth? Like, gay vengeance. Let's go. Let's just, like,
Yeah.
power couple and burn the village.
That's
And
what I want. Gather all the knowledge, because like you're gonna have to. I want it to be like Interview with a Vampire, where like you write a book later about your experience in this weird gay haunted village, but like from your condo in Tokyo.
yeah,
And it's just like
I
tasteful nudes of Yoshiki and Hikaru together on the walls, like a
I
Nagel painting.
I support it. I
Like
support it.
that's what I want. That's what I want. Um, we've been here for so long. Okay. Season of the anime ends on a cliffhanger. I have some feelings about that we can save maybe for the live. Because
Okay.
at this rate, this really will be our longest episode. Because we have to talk about a trope that Carola and I, we've lived it, we've breathed it, we hate
So
it.
have a lot of us. Did you know
Oh
that the
god.
Bury Your Gays trope is over 125 years old?
Yes, I did.
This is, when I say this trope is old, this is literally a Victorian trope.
Yes. Um,
It's old, people.
it's
They've
it's old.
it's
Um,
been around.
so you might be asking, hey, if
Ow.
Hikaru, especially before he became the chaos entity, didn't necessarily have overt queer feelings for Yoshiki, why does he follow under the Bury Your Gays trope, and why are we talking about it in this series that has queer overtones after death has occurred? Well, it's still important to acknowledge that one, we don't know what the actual Hikaru's feelings were. They were clearly a lot more complicated than we thought. That even though he was really, really excited about that girl having a crush on him, that didn't go anywhere. And that his cause of death ultimately was a booby tree.
Yeah. But I mean, he's a teenage boy, and also he could be bisexual. We don't know.
Yeah, bisexuality exists, and I'll be honest, if I saw a titty tree in the forest, I probably would also look.
Like, listen, okay, I'm gay, but like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care what sexuality you have. If you see something that looks, anatomically correct in the forest, you're gonna look at it. I don't care who you are.
There is a woman who has a succulent company, like cactuses, and she sells these things called the booby cactus.
Oh,
And
that
it
was
looks,
not where I thought it was going.
yeah, she has like these booby cactuses. I'll have to show you a picture. Um, so why are we talking about the Bury Your Gays trope? Why are we talking about it during Halloween? Well, one, Carola said it at the start of the episode. There is this inextricable tether between queerness and horror. Do you want to talk about that a little further?
Yes, but I don't even know where to like begin. It's been, because now, listen, okay, because now my brain is just full of Hikaru and academic literature on the Bury Your Gays trope. It's been a while since I delved into the background of the
Yes.
connection between queerness and horror. I do
I
actually
think
have a video essay open that I was
yes.
meaning to listen to, but yeah, please, if you have like a good summary, please let me have it.
So
Because
one of the big reasons why the two are very, very much linked is again that idea of being othered.
yeah.
So I mentioned vague queer issues at the start. There's a lot of minority issues you can find in um, horror. So like there's a really, really good Lindsay Ellis video about the monster fucking genre, and like
Mm,
especially how many like queer people see themselves in monsters, how many black people see themselves in monsters. And it's like, yeah, it's that monstrous other. It's that thing that is so different and considered so terrible by polite human society, but there's also a reclamation of it by
yeah.
saying, well, fuck yeah, I'm the monster. I'm the best part of the whole thing. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about it a little bit in Villain Fuckery, where it's this beautiful reclamation of, okay, well, if you're going to say that I'm, the big bad wolf that blows the town down, awesome. That means I have Omegaverse powers and I'm going to go flaunt it.
Yeah.
Uh, so the tie also is very much a punishing act as well. It
Yeah.
is meant, so you Carola mentioned Victorian ties. It is deliberately designed to punish those
Mm-hmm.
characters. When queerness shows up, it is not normal to that narrative and thus needs to be punished.
Yeah. And what is important to note is that um I guess the most well known queer Victorian author, obviously Oscar Wilde, right? And
Mm-hmm.
famously, probably much to the antis of the day's joy, Oscar Wilde was he was put on trial
He was.
and famously convicted for,
Mm-hmm.
indecency and perversion and all these things. And
Mm-hmm.
part of what they used as evidence against him was his own novel Dorian Gray, in
Yes.
which the opposing lawyer was pointing out that while Dorian Gray um, participated in sodomy, therefore Oscar Wilde also must have participated in sodomy, therefore he needs to go to jail, right?
Yes.
But what we also need to realize, because I read so much on this yesterday, so like I feel like I have a lot of fresh, concise thoughts on this now. One of the papers that I read lists like four types of Bury Your Gays trope.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Victorian era, because it's important to also distinguish between queer authors
Mm-hmm.
using it and straight authors using it very often,
That is
like
a huge
like
difference.
motivation. And what you need to know is like queer authors like Oscar Wilde, obviously we can't know what he was thinking, but largely speaking, the only way to write queerness back in that time, in the Victorian times, was to write it in a way that showed that it existed,
Mm-hmm.
but you couldn't be, I mean, obviously Oscar Wilde still was, but you technically could not be said to be endorsing and promoting it, because if you
Mm-hmm.
wrote it as something that was morally wrong and ended up being punished by death or ostracization or, some kind of punishment,
Mm-hmm.
then you could get away with writing it. And that was the
Mm-hmm.
only way you could depict it.
Right. And I think that's what makes it so interesting with the Bury Your Gays trope is one, it's seen in a lot of straight media as this punishment, and by proxy, queer writers took this on either as a form of like fictional self harm, as in like
Mm,
that's the only type of story that we see, but also in a way to reclaim that truth and honor that truth that like yes, unfortunately being queer for some people is a death sentence, whether it's
yeah.
through sexually transmitted disease, violence, anything.
Yeah. So the four this scholar Hulan, the four uses of the trope that they cover in this article are
Mhm.
refuge, catharsis, exploitation, and spectacle. And
Mhm.
the two latter in particular are what we see most often in, you know, things like TV shows
Mhm.
and with queer, like the tokenized queer character and the dead gay that we often
Mhm.
see in mainstream, like things geared at the mainstream, where the queer audience isn't the core audience and where the queer creator isn't necessarily the one creating,
Mhm.
where there's a straight creator. And I think I mean, I must have heard about this before, but one of the terms that came up in one of the things I was reading yesterday was the concept of the lesbian sweeps week kiss. Because we don't have sweeps week here. We have ratings, but not like
Mhm.
that. And so often, the spectacle, like, to this day, even with social conventions having changed and
Mhm.
queerness being more accepted and being legal, at least for now, and all these things, it's still often used as shock value. And
It is.
what's a better shock value than having, first someone come out or profess their feelings to someone or even
Mhm.
have sex with someone and then immediately get killed off? Like, that's two in one. That gets the ratings, right? That's the shock and exploitation factor.
And that is usually immediate.
Yeah,
So
like
my
immediate.
first encounters with Bury Your Gays, one is from comics, and two from like that 2000s era of like teen drama, like your Dawson's Creek and stuff like that, where like they'd always have one gay character. You have to have one gay character, and they were usually the saddest of sad boys, or they were very, very flamboyant queen types, but they could never be happy. They always had this impossible crush on the male character. They were always rebuffed in the worst way.
Mm.
Like, I don't know if you guys remember when we did the Antique Bakery episode when we talked about Tachibana rebuffing Ono and how thoroughly we were both just like, fuck off. That is rooted in trauma from a lot of these other shows. Of
God.
like,
And
yes.
like, okay, there was one thing, like, I was so grateful, like, because I read like 4 papers yesterday by different people on this. Three
Mhm.
of them mention the same show. They mention The 100, which I have never
Yep.
watched. I have never read the novel that it's based on, but they all three of them mentioned this show,
Mhm.
as well as the year 2016, because
Yep.
apparently the year 2016 was terrible for gay characters in Western entertainment, particularly lesbians. And I'm over here like, I'm so glad I was not conscious of any like mainstream series that were happening in 2016, because I don't think I could have handled it.
Yeah, it wasn't good, and it was at such like a weird time where we were finally getting some good
Yeah.
representation, but then horrible things kept happening. And I think what's interesting about the Bury Your Gays trope is that one, it feels very natural now, which I think is a problem. It feels very natural now to watch a series, and then if you find a flamboyant character or just a queer character at all, it's like Death Note, like a timer appears above their head, and you're just waiting for them to die.
Mm.
Well, it's like it's very, very weird because it feels like don't get too attached. Don't get too
Yeah.
attached to this character who could be some real representation for you. They're
Mm.
they're on the clock. Like something's gonna
Yeah.
happen. It's a matter of time.
Yeah, and this is, going back to what I said in the beginning as well about how all of this is like connected, because
Mhm.
one of the things, and I mean, we will talk more about this, spoiler, at some point. We've also talked about this before, the whole Bury Your Gays trope, and
Mhm.
that it can be difficult to, because sometimes characters have to die and sometimes
Yes.
the plot requires it, but it's about how it's done, right? And
Yes.
one of the reasons why this is so problematic in the way that it's used in a lot of entertainment today,
Mhm.
especially within things geared at a younger audience, like YA and
Mm-hmm.
teen shows, whatever, is that it's for the longest time there was no gay future,
Yeah.
much like being, like I said at the top of the show, being an adolescence, being young, that is a
Mm-hmm.
fleeting thing. Like, that is a transient stage in
Mm-hmm.
your life. You're not there forever. You're not going to be a teenager forever. You're not going to be at this stage. And queerness is inherently tied to adolescence and to
Yes.
teenagehood,
Yes.
partially because that's when you figure it out, and because you are at a place, like we talked about, where you're like uncomfortable and trying to figure things out and everything is really difficult. But then there's the fact that often there is no gay adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
because looking at the narratives that we in particular grew up with, like, there were no gay adults. And for
Right.
a lot of us, like, the AIDS crisis took away the gay adults, like all of
Mm-hmm.
these role models that we could have had, they didn't survive, and that has been
Mm-hmm.
reflected in media, in literature,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And so queer teenagers in these types of series don't have a future, literally and
Adult.
figuratively. Because I
Right.
kept trying to say literary, but because they don't have anyone to look up to, because
Mm-hmm.
they either don't exist in the narrative at all, or they're already dead,
Mm-hmm.
and then the characters themselves die for whatever reason.
Right.
Like, that's why this is such a, like, that's why it's such a painful, and like, why everyone is so sick of it, essentially, because it's
Yeah.
like there's no hope.
Yeah.
We're still being punished.
And I think another part of it, coming from, again, like the comic book side of it, is
Mm,
that, so in the comic world, we have this thing called fridging. It's killing a female character, usually a love interest, to
yeah.
make a male character have like a fucking arc. It
Mm,
started from an instance where Kyle Rayner, the best Green Lantern, he was kind of on top of the world. He was doing Green Lantern shit, being a space cop. And some people are like, oh, the best way to get to Kyle Rayner is to get to him through his girlfriend. So
mm,
they break into his house, kill his girlfriend in like an overkill kind of way, and stuff her body in the fridge for
mm.
Kyle Rayner to find. So Kyle Rayner comes home. It's this big glossy splash page. He opens the fridge and there's his girlfriend's mangled
Oh
body. That's how
god.
we get the word fridging.
Mm,
Uh, so at least, and I'm using the biggest air quotes, with fridging, something comes out of it. This male character usually gets an arc. It's his drive. It's his push. It's his something.
mm,
With Bury Your Gays, nothing happens most of the time. It is, if anything, it is ignored. We don't talk about any of the underlying issues that may have led up to this, because I remember, especially when I was coming up with this, a lot of the issues that caused these gay characters to die were things like bullying, were
yeah.
things like abuse at home, were issues that tangible people face, and that you could have turned into a talking moment, and they didn't, because this character is gay and therefore
Mm,
deserves to be punished.
yeah.
Screams.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard, like, when we're talking about it in, I keep fluctuating wildly when we talk about this in relation to the Summer Hikaru Died, because
Mm-hmm.
on one hand, it's kind of like, because he died, like, the whole concept is he is dead. Like,
Yeah.
he is already dead, and he isn't dead because he's gay. He's dead because, I mean, we don't even know if he's gay, right? And
Yeah.
he's dead because he unfortunately lives in hell, you know.
Yes.
And then, but then on the other hand, like I said, there are a lot of factors here that we can connect to it. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
for me, again, the character who is actually more representative here is actually Yoshiki,
Mm-hmm.
because Yoshiki is on the receiving end. Yoshiki is the queer coded character in the small town who doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
anyone to look up to. And that's also why I think that the mention of this Yasuke character is so
Mm-hmm.
important, because that is a gay man who escaped the village,
Yeah.
who Yoshiki can think about, like, oh, he's out there living his life while they're being narrow minded, still talking about him here. And
Right.
but of course, for Yoshiki, being like, first of all, he is in danger. Like his monster boyfriend is trying to kill him every so often because that's just what monster boyfriends do. And
Every once in a while, his monster boyfriend just wants to take a nibble.
yeah, and but he has already experienced the Bury Your Gays trope in real
Mm-hmm.
life because he is a queer coded teenager in a small, very
Mm-hmm.
and like there is the religious aspect as well.
There
I
is.
like I saw someone I know who was reading this like on a whim and
Mm-hmm.
was completely floored by all of the symbolism in it, and they came to the point where they're at the festival,
Mm-hmm.
and that one old guy is selling takoyaki and he has the cross around his
Mm-hmm.
neck, like he's wearing the cross necklace, and they reacted so strongly to that because of the implications. Because for some reason, in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Japan, there's a bunch of churches because this particular village has a large Christian community.
Mm-hmm.
There's that aspect of it as well, right? So there are a lot of reasons why we can connect Yoshiki to this kind of to these types of stories that we see in the stories that utilize the Bury Your Gays
Absolutely.
trope.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it also, it's we're going to talk about this more in Patreon. So if you're curious about that, this is a great time to be a patron. Is how we approach it as writers and readers.
Yeah.
And like when this is the muck that raised you, when this is the goo you were formed from,
Mm.
that shit's hard to let go. Like I know I struggle with this a lot, like for multiple minority issues, and like one of them is my blackness. Like it's so hard to find good black representation or good black storytelling because oftentimes people are trying to tell the same story, the slave experience. And
Yeah.
while yes, that was real, despite what the current American administration is trying to tell you, and yes, that was bad, and yes, did have lasting effects. I currently at this moment, pending the government, am not enslaved. So it was hard to feel a strong connection to a lot of the
Mm.
black stories being told when all of them were set in the 1800s in the Underground Railroad.
Oh, but Amanda, that's what the government is trying to do now. They're trying to make it more relatable by bringing back slavery so that there's a reason to make all these movies. I've solved it. Good God.
Screams.
To all of our listeners, please know that I'm not taking this lightly.
I and I think about the media that affected me when I grew up, and I think of things like musical Carola recently saw Rent.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And Rent is mentioned in one of these articles as a great example.
How can you not?
Yeah, and one of literally like the best things I've read, and this is from an academic text. Like I just want to quote it so I don't say it wrong because it's like because it reads like prose, but it's from an academic text. Where the hell is it? Am I blind? Rent.
I love that
Yeah,
you have all these notes.
I have so many notes.
I know.
Like I could do a whole episode on this. But yeah, no, okay, so it says from this article, which I will give links to because it's great.
Yes, please.
So about Rent. Angel dies because it's the 80s and the 90s in New York and
Mhm.
people were dying.
Yeah.
Angel doesn't die because Angel's character is a queer, transcoded person, Angel dies because that's what people did.
Mhm.
That's what it was like.
Yeah. Right. And it's interesting because like we talked about this during the BL Odo episode and by extension during the live is like when you talk about where we carry our roots and the things that formed us, and like I think there's a very, very solid case for a generation of writers
Mm.
that were just buried in that muck of Bury Your Gays. And I maintain. I think that's why so much BL fanfic is fix it.
Mm,
I think that's why so much BL fan works are about letting these queer characters live if only they had the chance. Why so much of it is this kind of nobody dies, everyone lives,
mm.
coming from a writer who's doing that currently.
Yeah.
You know, it's rooted in that bury your gays trope. And I remember feeling that the most, not necessarily with super overtly queer stories, but like watching my beloved battle shonens. And it's like, oh, as soon as characters got a little too close to each other, it felt like that was the time that they died.
Mm.
It felt like the minute these characters got a little too close to each other, a little too close to something that wasn't exactly totally bros het romance, one of them had to die for plot reasons.
Yeah, and again, bringing it back to the ultimate OTP, but like I genuinely did not think Sasuke and Naruto would both survive. I
No.
thought at least one of them was going to die, or both of them, and I was fully ready. And like Naruto was fully ready. Like he was like, "We're gonna die. That's
Yeah.
just like we're gonna die, and then we're gonna be together in the afterlife." He literally says that. I don't help. That's not what we're talking about. But
Well, and I'm seeing it also a lot because I've been playing Uma Musume. I've been seeing a lot of like doomed Yuri
mm,
for Uma Musume because so many of the real horses are fucking dead.
yeah, and
It's a thing. It's a thing.
yeah,
It's part of our
and
community.
and we're gonna we're gonna talk more about this in the Patreon episode. I'm very excited for it. I think it's gonna be a good one. Also, again, it's one of those rare occasions where Amanda and I discuss our own writing and actually allow ourselves to be the writers that we are. Believe it or not, we write things. But I think again, it's complicated because
It is.
again, truths can exist at once, and the bury your gays trope, like sometimes it's subjective as well, because I might necessarily not feel like I don't necessarily agree that like everything that we label like that is labeled as bury your gays sometimes it's just a character dying, and like for instance
Shut
with
up.
horror. Like what? No, but like we've talked about this before as well in regards to horror, right? I can't remember if this is something we've talked about in private or if we've actually discussed it on the show, but like I think horror is also interesting because obviously there is an aspect there of bury your gays, obviously. But often, like we also mentioned, horror is inherently gay. A lot of the time the villain is queer coded, like the killer, like our beloved Matthew Lillard coming out recently and talking about
knew
billions.
this was going to be about Matthew Lillard. How did the minute you started talking about this, the exact second I was like, she's gonna talk about Matthew Lillard.
Listen, that wasn't the point. I just want to, I just want to give him a shout out for, being like, actually, Billy and Stu were gay. Shut up. I get to say that. I will take no comments. I thought that was nice of him.
New York City Comic Con.
Is he?
Yeah, he's having a great time.
Oh, well, he always seems to be having a great time. No, but like a lot of the time the gays are the killers, which isn't necessarily great representation either, by the way. But like what we've said before on this podcast, all representation doesn't have to, like, everything doesn't have to be a representative. Sometimes gay people can be many things. Some of us can be serial killers. It's fine. Can you tell I'm losing it? It's been almost 3 hours and I'm losing my composition. The point is, in horror, but again, this depends on how it's framed, right? Like, and who, like, what is the point behind the death? But in horror, I think we have to look at things like the larger picture, because chances are if you're a character in a horror movie, you're not gonna make it. One of you might make it. That will probably be the final girl. That's usually how this goes. And in a lot of these cases, that means that indiscriminately everyone else is going to die, and so your death doesn't necessarily mean that your character isn't killed off because they're gay. They're killed off because they're a character in a horror film.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't necessarily have to be part of the trope.
Right. And I definitely think that there's some sexual politics there,
Yeah.
especially when we talk about like gay serial killers. Like immediately what came to mind was like how we talk about Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy.
Ugh, I wish we stopped talking. Like, if I never have to
Well,
talk about
I
Jeffrey Dahmer again.
yeah, I mean I don't want to talk we are contractually obligated.
I know. I
Um,
know.
but like I was thinking the whole time you were talking about that is like yeah, like and especially like the way we talk about these serial killers because we just had Netflix do like a really really exploitative Ed Gein story.
I was so disappointed because when I wrote to you about it, I was
Mhm.
excited because I thought it was a documentary
No,
series. Now I'm sad.
they're just rehashing stuff because they need money. So it's a horribly violent and exploitative Ed Gein movie, and really it doesn't do anyone any good because a case
Mm,
like Ed Gein's is so like, what do you do with this? The man made a woman suit. What do you do? You're not
yeah.
understanding that psychology. I don't care how many psychiatrists you fly in. You're not. We're not
No.
humanizing this monster. um, but you did trigger me to think about some of the ways we talk about that. So
Mm,
maybe that'll be a fun thing we bring up during the live as well. Is like that
yeah.
sexual politics of the gay
Yeah.
serial killer because well, if what we hope happens, where Yoshiki does become the master of one horrible monster boyfriend, um, they're gonna the way Yoshiki is discussed will change.
Mm.
That like there will be this like phantom legend of the horrible homosexual who let his off leashed monster kill everyone.
Again, like I genuinely think you would enjoy Mad K.
You keep saying that.
It's only 3 volumes. I think you'd enjoy it greatly.
You know what? I'm willing to consider it. I liked having a thing that's current. So who knows? I'm very suggestible at the time, so I might actually listen to you for
Ooh.
once. Um wow, we sure did have a lot to say about a lot of things.
I do think that we could have said a lot more about even more things, but you know what? My brain is mush.
Yeah, it's been almost 3 hours, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you drank water throughout this experience. If you're on the road and you've kidnapped someone,
Oh my
um,
god, imagine listening to this on the road.
if this is your road trip episode, we'd love to hear about it.
Tell us where you were when we were talking about that scene. Which landmarks did you pass?
Yeah, please tell us what part of the world you were in when you listened to us describe that scene. Listen, I think the coolest thing about this is when we have a lot to say, it means that we care.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really, really easy to brush off a work like The Summer Hikaru Died of like, oh, it's to this, oh, it's to that. It's not enough this. I've been
Mm.
seeing some online discourse like, well, it's not gay enough. What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm so glad like I've been, offline and not really seen the discourse. Like thank God, because I was worried.
it's minimal, but it's there.
Yeah.
I think it's also a lot of the thing that we discussed at the top of the episode, where people are billing it as BL, and when BL expectations aren't met, it's like, well, this isn't gay enough. Well, and I mean, we're guilty of that. I'm guilty of that, of billing this as a BL, and it's not.
Mm.
Um, Dr. Kirsten correcting me very, very quickly at the end of the episode last month was like a very, very sharp reminder to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate her for it because I should be called out when I'm wrong.
But also, just putting it out there, this podcast does discuss a lot of things that aren't explicitly, but
Mhm.
rather, not and maybe not even implicitly, but like BL adjacent.
Yeah.
And because, again, there's an overlapping audience and then there's the fan experience that is at the
Mhm.
center of this podcast. And that is part of the reason why we explore series and ships and things that aren't explicitly labeled as BL,
Mhm.
but that are still interesting to us as BL fans.
Correct. And as mentioned again, there are a lot of BL tropes present,
Mm-hmm.
or tropes that feel quite familiar to us as Fujin, that I think add extra layers of dimension to this story.
Yeah.
Overall, I think I please let me know if I'm being preposterous by saying so. Both of us just want more people to check this out. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Like, I hope that, I mean, I do realize that we've been, like, jumping around, and, like, some parts we've, like, told the entire plot up until now, and some parts we've just, like, barely scratched the surface. And hopefully it still made enough sense that you want to check this out, because it's really good. Like,
It's really good.
it's such an enjoyable experience, and just like the art is so great, and the animation is great, and just like the way that they are using effects, and in the manga as well, like typography, and in the way that they're using the page to tell the story, like, it's just really, really good.
It's really good. The soundtrack is really, really fun.
Yeah.
I think the animation is great. Voice acting is great. Um, the like yeah, like just it was a fun ride.
Yeah, and like, if you're looking for something like that is relatively quick to get through for
Mhm.
this Halloween season, like, check out the anime. Like, it's, again, like, if you like stuff like Shiki and Higurashi and, I don't know, other weird village of hell type stories from Japan, like, give it a watch. Like, it is really, really good.
It is. So this is Yaoi Shelf approved
Yeah,
by
we enjoy
both
it.
hosts.
This is amazing. I don't think we've ever agreed this much on anything in like our 3 or 4 years of working together.
This is
This might be
emphatically
a first.
endorsed. Yeah, this is emphatically endorsed by both halves of the Yaoi Shelf.
Wild.
That's. I love that it's this also.
No, but I mean, I think it's because it's something like this. Like, because
Yes.
we're both just like, this is right up our alley.
It's so up our alley, and like I'm glad that my instinct was correct with that, because I remember like I vividly remember like first seeing it and being like, oh, Carola and I are going to like this,
Yeah.
and I was right.
Just like a great and also terrifying and emotional experience.
I was literally, there were parts where I was so scared.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an adult. I live alone. I've seen actual ghosts. There were parts where I was so fucking scared.
Yep. It is unnerving. And like, but it's like, if you like Japanese horror, absolutely.
Yeah, you're
check
gonna
it
love
out.
it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a great Japanese horror, which is really the only kind of horror that I like to begin with. Do not come at me with that jump scare shit. I hate it. There was the one thing I didn't like about the movie Sinners. I love the movie Sinners. It's a perfect
I have
movie.
to watch Sinners.
There is one jump scare, and I was like, "You fuck right off with that."
But like, that's the thing though. Like, sure, I can like a jump scare, but it's uncomfortable because it's a jump scare, right? But
Yeah.
there's just something about Japanese horror where it just gets under your skin and then just
Yeah.
fucking ruins your life. Sada-chan, I am looking at you like I love her, but Jesus fucking Christ, I will never get over it.
Well, no, and I think it's true. Like, to wrap up, I think that's been the most interesting aspect of the Summer Hikaru Died is that like it stuck with me, and that doesn't happen very often. But like, yeah, I still have questions. I still have questions that, more importantly, I want answered. I still care about these characters. Like, it isn't, oh, series is over, fuck off. Like,
no. No, and again, like we've said so many times during this almost 3-hour episode as well, like, there are so many themes to explore. Like, if you like doing media and literary analysis while you're consuming something, like, this is also perfect, because like, there are so many things you can grab onto and explore, and just like, if you just want to like disengage from the academic perspective and just enjoy it for what it is. But like, I'm so excited for season 2 and for volume 6, which should be coming out relatively soon. I'm so glad I did the reread. Now I'm back on track.
Okay, this is the part of the show where we thank our patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
As we mentioned for Patreon, we're going to be talking about how we approach the Bury Your Gays trope as writers and as readers, but primarily as writers. I think that's a great episode. I'm excited to record it with Carola. So if you'd like to join our Patreon, now is a great time to do so. Patrons
Mm-hmm.
get exclusive merch, exclusive videos, and peeks behind the curtain. It also helps us keep the lights on, both metaphorically and physically, because Carola, these videos are what?
They're not monetized. I don't
They
understand
are.
why. Like, why do you not want to give us money as we talk about chest fucking on YouTube? I don't get it.
You know, shockingly, we have we are better than some channels, but in other ways we are much much worse.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is the part of the show where we thank our patrons. Their support means the world to us, and if you'd like to join them, you may do so at the Yaoi Shelf at patreon.com/the Yaoi Shelf. I messed up the radio read. It's been 3 hours.
You're allowed.
Thank you. So thank you to our patrons, Aria, Starlight Esquire, Kenny, Dobie80, Koval, Sue, Lucy H, Amora Blue, and Lauren. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for being our
much.
patrons. I will say almost all of these patrons have been patrons since Carola started on the show. So we love having long-term patrons. Thank you so much for being here with us for this journey. I did just check the numbers, and I'm including this in because I want your live reaction. This is officially our longest episode.
There it is. I called it. I called it a week ago.
I I was pulling up I was watching the timer and I pulled up the numbers. This is officially our longest episode.
With how many minutes?
Right now only by about 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, I'll take it. I
I'm
knew
so
this was
tired.
gonna. If you're still here, thank you for listening.
For 3
Wow.
hours. Okay. If you So I mentioned Patreon. If you'd like to join our patrons, you can do so at patreon.com/the Shelf. Again, that is patreon.com/the Shelf. We are all over the social internet, primarily on Blue Sky. We are still trying to leave Twitter. And wherever you listen to podcasts, we also have an 18 plus Discord that will be linked in the show notes, as well as resources to support Carola and I as authors, because I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
Your engagement helped us so much. Please feel free to leave comments. We read all of them. By we, I mean I.
I also read them.
You do.
I do. I do read the comments. I
We
also
love.
try to read like the feedback thread on our Discord. I'm in
Yes.
there lurking, even if I'm not replying, because I usually see it so late.
Yes. So we love your feedback. We love your comments. We read every single one of them.
Yeah, and we would love to discuss this with you.
Please. We have so many thoughts. Carola, what are we doing next month?
We are returning once again to things that we've touched upon, but that deserve their own episode. We are talking about fan service and queer baiting.
Yeah. So we've talked about queer baiting before.
Mm.
And I feel like that conversation continues to change as BL and BL adjacent works become more popular. And it's even partially inspired by even reading this, where there was that small amount of discourse. It's like, this wasn't gay enough.
And also, spoiler alert, queer baiting is also heavily intertwined with Bury Your Gays, so that trope might make a reappearance. But I think what we talked about was that mostly the focus will be on fan service as like a fan service as a thing, and how queer baiting kind of goes
hand in hand
with that, and the differences and the similarities.
I'm excited to talk about it. I feel like, again, from the time that we did speak about this, things have already changed. Opinions have already changed. And we both get to come at this from like very, very interesting perspectives of like, yes, I was here in the super hulock trenches, but also please remove me from this hell.
But also, and like, I know a hot take to have on the 2025 internet, apparently, but I personally am a big fan of fan service, and I am ready to defend my position.
Also, if we get to $150 a month on Patreon, I'll make Carola watch an episode of Supernatural.
I have not agreed to this.
I I don't need you to.
No, but I will. Like I've said it before. I watched the first episode when it came out.
Oh. 20 years ago?
Yeah, I was there. Probably wasn't 20 years ago. It probably took a couple of years before we got it here. But I did see the first episode when it aired in Norway.
I'm so excited to talk about fan service and queer baiting. We will see you guys in our live, and thank you so much for sticking with us for 3 fucking hours.
Oh my god. Yeah, we're like 30 seconds away.
Yep.
Wow. Thank you.
Have a great day. Be safe out there. Keep it a
Take
little
care of
scary.
yourselves. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.